thank you very much for being here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. YouTube,
Again, thank you very
Facebook.
much for being here. Welcome,
Glad to have
welcome,
you on the
welcome.
journey.
YouTube,
Good to have you here.
Facebook.
Um,
Glad to have everybody join us. It's good to have you
so let's do the
here.
normal thing. Let's
Um,
like and share.
so let's do the normal thing. Let's
Get what we're doing on the
like
FYP.
and share
Thank you very much.
and
Someone says cultural powers as
get
important
what
as
we're doing on the FYP.
economic
Thank you
political
very
and
much.
Yoruba.
Someone says cultural power is as important as economic or political. I became Yoruba without being
You
Yoruba.
are Yoruba. I'm kidding you, bro. Oh, you are not a.
You
Oh,
are Yoruba without becoming Yoruba. I became Yoruba. Oh, you are not a. Oh,
thank you, Empress, for the hearts, man. Let's all be like
I get it now.
Empress everywhere. Let's please click on the heart
Thank you,
icon
Empress,
above
for
my
the heart me.
head. Just click on it.
Let's all be like an
Drop a
Empress,
heart
everyone.
for me.
Let's please click on the heart icon above me
It's
here,
easy for
above
me
my
to
head.
task.
Just click
These
on it,
things
drop a
truly,
heart me.
truly help
You know,
the life.
just basic community tasks.
That's
These
the most
things
important of it.
truly,
Please
truly help the life, and that's one way
like
of
and share.
supporting what we're
Thank
doing. So
you very
please
much.
um, like and share and all of that. Thank you very much.
Now I found you. All right. Good afternoon, Jellico. Now I found you. Jellico.
All right. Good afternoon,
Obolenko.
Jellico.
Obolenko.
Jellico.
Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend.
Ekpele, Oshedadale, wow. Obolenko.
It was quite good.
Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend.
Had a great time. Thank you for the
Was quite good
donuts. Empress one day.
here. Had a
By the way,
great
if you're
time.
on
Thank you
YouTube,
for the
donut
donuts
basically is a
and
gift
press one
on
day.
TikTok.
By the way, if
And
you're on
thankfully,
YouTube,
there are options like
donut
that on
basically
YouTube as
is a
well.
gift on TikTok.
Bottom left
And
of the
thankfully,
screen,
there
that's
are
the bottom
options
left.
like that on YouTube as
For you,
well.
you
Um,
find
bottom left of the screen,
an
that's your
icon that you
bottom
can also
right.
click
For
in order
you,
to
you find
gift us on YouTube.
an icon that you can also click on in order to
Apparently, the algorithm
gift us on
is
YouTube. All right.
configured in such a way that
Apparently, the algorithm
those things
is
somehow helps
configured in such a way that
the other viewers
those
to
things
find us
somehow
better.
helps the other
Uh,
viewers to find us on these
Empress,
platforms.
thank you. Panther as well.
Oh,
All
Empress,
right.
thank you. Panther as
Let's
well. God
just
bless you.
do the normal thing we
All
do just
right.
to be sure we're good.
So let's just do the normal thing we do, just to be sure we're good.
I'm just trying to be sure we're good on YouTube. Oh, thank
All
you.
right. I'm just
Thank
trying
you
to
for the
be
hearts.
sure we're good on
I'm making my
YouTube.
mustache longer, by the
Oh,
way.
thank you. Thank you for the
And it
hearts
already is.
and for making my mustache longer
Thank you.
than it already is.
All right. Let's share the live. Let's like
Thank you.
and let's do our
All
community
right.
tasks. Please,
Let's
if
share
you're
the
on
live.
YouTube, please
Let's
double tap
like
on your screen. That way you've liked
and let's do our community tasks. Please, if you're on YouTube,
this
please
little
double tap on
things
your
actually
screen.
do
That way
help.
you've
So
liked the
please
live. All right.
help us do that.
These
All right.
little things actually do help. So please
A lot of
help us do that.
fantastic things
Thank you.
happened over the weekend. We'll talk about those things before we get into today's
A lot
topic.
of fantastic
I'm going to
things
do a
happened
little
over the
recap
weekend. We'll talk
because
about
it's
those things
Friday.
before we get into
I'll
today's
do
topic.
like an introduction of
I'm
what
going
we're
to
going
do
to
like
talk
a
about
recap
today.
of
That's
of
number one.
Friday.
That's
Then
the
I'll do like an
Papa,
introduction of what we'll do on Wednesday, which is SLA.
right? SLA.
That's Chief. That's Papa.
And in case you
Papa Awolowo
want
and
to
SLA. And
study
in
with
case
me,
want
we all
to
study together, by the way. But in case you want to read the book,
study with me,
because the truth is, whether you're reading the book or not,
we're
as
all
long as
studying
you're
together, by the way.
as
But in
long
case
as
you
you're
want to read the
studying
book,
together, I'm just the one reading. So
because the truth
maybe
is,
you're
whether you're reading
reading,
the book or not, as long as
maybe
we're
you're
all
reading
here,
the
all
book.
of us are studying together. I'm
I
just the
have no
one reading,
problems with
so
that as
that
well.
maybe you are working,
But if you want to
I'll be
get
your
the book as
audiobook.
well, you can get on
I have no
Read Me
problems
books.
with that at all.
SLA.
But if you want to get the book as well,
Is
you
life
can
and
get on
times.
Redomi Books. It's
It's a very interesting
SLA.
book.
S.
There's
Ladoke
also
Akintola,
references to
His
him.
Life and Times.
When we get there, I'm
It's
going
a
to tell
very
you
interesting
all of
book.
it. Thank you for everything you've
But
done.
also references to him. When we get there, I'm going to tell you the other things. This book was written
So
by
we'll get into all of that
Professor
much later.
Akinjide
But
Oshuntokun.
for now, let's just
So
spend the
we'll
next
get
one
into all of
minute
that much later.
sharing.
But for now, let's just spend the next one
And
minute
then we'll start with the news.
sharing, and then
Once we read
we
that,
can
we
dive
then
right
get to
in,
the topic,
and
discuss it,
then
and all the
we'll
rest of
start
it.
with the news.
If you're on
Once we're
TikTok,
done
please
with
fire
that,
tap.
we'll then go
We are
to
on
the topic
18.2k, which is
discussing
beautiful.
Awolowo's legacy.
But
If
we
you're on
have this
TikTok,
amber
please fire
alert,
tap.
which means that
We're on 18.2k, which is
even
beautiful,
our PA
but
told
we
us
have
that
this
it's
amber
already
alert, which means
very
that
high. So please
on one
drop
wape
power tap.
adrodada
Very
SWT
important.
tole. So please, power tap. Thank you very much for doing that. I'm almost ready. I'm just trying to share this thing on other platforms so that way we can fly. I'll fly away, oh glory. But this one is not heaven yet. We are still here on earth. Dun, 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 fly away. Hallelujah, by and by.
We have some interesting.
Meanwhile, we have some interesting
On Twitter,
friends on YouTube,
say things like, "Oh, we are supporting what you
on TikTok, on Twitter as well,
get involved in this."
who tend to say things like, "Oh, we are supporting what you're doing. Don't get involved in this or you and if I think." I'm like,
History.
I am
I think the
involved.
most important thing. This
You're
is
not
this is
that
my
I'm
own.
involved. We're discussing history. I think the most important thing, and this is my own approach, regardless of whose history I'm discussing, whether I'm talking about Igbo, I'm talking about Fulani, I'm talking about Benin, I'm talking about Hausa, I'm talking about Yoruba, different subgroups. The important thing is that you do it with respect.
There are some things you will not say,
But you are supposed to tell the truth. There are some things you would not say, not because you can't, but you shouldn't. Until, of course, you are pushed to a particular point, then it will be justified. But regardless, you have to tell the truth, but be respectful about it. Those who use unity as an excuse for concealing basic things, not deep things, basic stuff. They don't want unity. They want quiet. They want you to be quiet. They want silence. They want people like us to be quiet, but they are wrong. They came on the wrong day. They should come tomorrow. But beautiful thing is that Ola Okintan, they'll still come tomorrow. So, and this is all of us Yoruba people. Let's just keep respect. Let's keep it respectful. But let's not shy away from the truth. And don't weaponize history either, because that's also easy to do. We don't want to go that route. Okay, I think we're good now. We've shared what we're supposed to share.
The weekend was.
The weekend was packed.
I'm looking at where should we start? Somebody already.
The weekend was packed. So I'm looking at where should we start? Somebody already put something here on what they want me to talk about.
I think it's been spoken about, to be honest.
We shall talk about it. I think it's been spoken about, to be honest, like the whole.
But we're going to talk about it.
Appropriation going on, but we're going to talk about it. All right.
Start with good news, right?
Let me start with good news, right?
And this news is coming all the way from Russia. Okay?
And this news is coming all the way from Russia.
Let's start with good news. Let's start with something foreign.
Okay, I'm going to read. Let me read this. Let's start with good news. Let's start with something foreign. But there's a Yoruba person involved, so it's also our news. But it's from Russia. Russia's breakthrough cancer vaccine. A new hope for patients in 2025. In a groundbreaking announcement, Russia has revealed that its innovative mRNA-based cancer vaccine is ready for clinical use and will be provided free of charge to patients starting in early 2020. It's 2026, not because it's already 2025. This development, heralded as a potential game changer in oncology, has sparked global interest and cautious optimism. And then when they had to tell us the different things they know about it, if you want to know, I mean, you can, Google this thing. It's all over the place. But apparently, it's breakthrough. But Ibiti Yorubati Wale is that. So I was going through some comments on some places online, and I saw something quite interesting. There's a man called Dr. Samuel Olalekan Akinyemi. He's a Nigerian, he's a Yoruba man. He's the only black doctor in Russia who was part of the research team that made a breakthrough in this cancer vaccine last year. This was the same achievement announced by Russia. Interestingly, Akinyemi was going to become a civil engineer and even worked as a construction laborer, but eventually he moved into medicine. Studied at Bashkir State Medical University in Ufa, Russia, after learning Russian in Volgograd. Dr. Akinyemi is multilingual, speaking Yoruba, English, Russian, and German. He teaches English alongside his medical work and specializes in prostate cancer and robotic surgery. This makes him the only black doctor in Russia qualified for these advanced procedures. Interestingly, there's a video online showing him with Sheyi Bodi. Apparently, before he, went to study medicine, he had worked as a construction worker on Sheyi Bodi's site, which is quite interesting. Sorry, Sheyi Bodi's parents' site. But now he's a medical doctor and he's one of the people on that research team that, have been able to now produce a vaccine for cancer. So we're looking forward to seeing the impact that particular product will have in the world. But it's something to be proud of, and we are we're thankful that it's coming from Russia, but we're glad that one of our own was part of the entire process. All right. Moving on. Every time I open this, I see that stuff that the person wrote earlier. That one. So sometimes you don't want to talk about these things, you know why? Because you don't want to give the person publicity. But you also have to talk about it because, you know why? If you don't talk about it, then the lies will fester. The lies will keep traveling. This is me reminding myself. And so we're going to get to that particular topic that you mentioned. I will start with that, but it's a very, very important topic. But let's listen to something from Yemi Sholade, who was a guest on a show, and the full thing is going to be out later today, I think, but at least we have something that we can just listen to, and then you can hear his thoughts in that interview and enjoy. Please take a listen.
Find to date any actor my age. You cannot find to date any actor my age mate or slightly younger who will tell you he studied theaters in the East, because theater never existed in the East. When I was a student in Ife, we had something we called NUTAF, Nigerian University Theaters Festival. Only 6 universities at that time. None existed in the East.
One very popular account was that Nollywood started with Living in Bondage.
The first movie that you call home video was actually produced by a man who is still alive, Ade Ajiboye. We call him Big Abbas. That your Living in Bondage thing. It was in the early 90s. Shonsho Meji, as produced by Ade Ajiboye Big Abbas, was around 1988.
What of Things Fall Apart?
Things fell apart on television now. It was in the 80s, mid-80s. It was just a TV series. It was when home video started here. And the success of the whole thing now got very wide. They now started introducing. I'll tell you that a friend of mine, Niji Akon, introduced drama when he was a youth corper in University of Nigeria, Nsukka, in English language department. He introduced drama to them. So I will tell you that was even the takeoff in the academic arena for them.
I promise when the full video comes on with this, we're going to revisit this video, but it's important to be very careful about history. There's certain people who are committed to changing history, and that's one of the reasons for the pushback you're experiencing on social media. Yes, sometimes it may seem too much because of the way people, say things, but the truth of the matter is that these things have to be said. And I think the reason we have all this, I'm going to explain myself later. Let me just say that the reason you have these pushbacks, where a lot of people are very angry, is because things have been left unsaid for too long. And so right now you're going to see a lot of pushbacks, but eventually things are going to simmer, but they will simmer once the order is, once order is the order of things. Once there's order in the way things are done, then it's going to be a lot easier for people to calm down. But until now, until then, I mean, people can. So this thing that he's saying right now, none of it is a lie. Theater was not a thing in universities in the East, and the production of it also was not a thing in that part of the world. Again, Nigeria has happened to Yoruba. You know, our history is usually called Nigerian history, which is just ridiculous. We're going to get to some of those things later. I want to make that particular one the last thing. Okay, some people got married over the weekend. I like videos that came out of that, event. Aliko Dangote, Otodola himself, who is the father of the bride, Temi and her husband, Easy. May God bless their marriage. I said that because I'm looking at the video and I think it was so beautiful, it was classy, and God bless them. All right, this is from Ladipo Market. There is a new team of leaders in Ipelewa. Oh, apologies, Joshua. Good to see you. Otojo meta, Shewa. Hello. All right, so one second, guys. Just trying to. All right, so Ladipo Market has new executive barrister Femi Martins, Tope Olowoyeye, Babatunde Ige, Ajibade Olajoku, and Emmanuel Dike. And this is how it should be. We can have one person representing his people, but we can't have a situation where people dominate markets in Yoruba land, especially when we're talking about the executive. It shouldn't be that way. Because, by the way, this is the same thing that happens in the East. Just in case you're one of those young people, even some adults who are on social media. This is how you protect your space. This happens in Onitsha. This happens in Ariaria. This happens all over the Eastern region. If you have not traveled that, please try and understand. This is how it works. You control your space, right? This is what they do, right? And this is not even done in the way they do it. There's no, hierarchy of where you are from in this one. At least you can represent people. That one, there are certain people that they can never become anything in their region. Meanwhile, they are also Igbos. So let's not deceive ourselves like, one Nigeria. We are one Nigeria, but
Sowore is in the news.
All right.
The DSS had to reach out to Twitter.
Sowore is in the news. The DSS had to reach out to Twitter. And that's X, formerly Twitter. We're going to talk about that in a bit after playing the video that Sowore was actually referring to the president as a criminal. I don't know why people go that far. It makes no sense, because
again, sometimes you find wisdom in very interesting places.
Freedom of speech. There's something, and again, sometimes you find wisdom in very interesting places. And one of the very interesting, wise musicians, I think, is actually Olamide. He said, freedom of speech, I no go dull you, but freedom after speech, I can't assure you. It's important that people understand the limits of freedom of speech. This thing where you just say anything anyhow and you expect people to just say because I have freedom of speech. I don't think that's how people should behave, to be honest. But anyway, here's a video that Sowore was referring to. Then I'll read to you what Sowore said and what the DSS said. Take a listen to this.
Took over since I took over in Nigeria has been very impactful. I can beat my chest for that. It was initially painful, but today the result is blossoming. It's getting clearer to the people. We have more money to the economy, no more corruption. We have the governor of Central Bank here. You don't have to know him before you get the foreign exchange that you need. The speculators are out in our currency market. The door is open for businesses. Easy in, easy out.
When Peter posted that video with this caption.
All right, so Sowore posted that video with this caption. this criminal, official Abad, actually went to Brazil to state that there is no more corruption under his regime in Nigeria. What audacity to lie shamelessly. And this is what the DSS said. The chairman and CEO, ex-core, Bastrop County, Texas, and so on and so forth. Misleading information and willful intention to furthering an ideology capable of serious harm, incitement to violence, cybercrime, hate speech to discredit, disparage the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and cause serious threat to national security of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Demand for immediate and urgent ban, deactivation of an X account owned by Omoyele Sowore through his verified X handle, Yellow Sowore, or any other X account maintained by him. So they went on to talk about what he said and why the account should be banned. They released they sent a letter out to X, and I think they also reached out to Sowore himself. Well, Sowore decided to dig in, and I think added a bit more insult, just to, in case people don't get them. So added some of those things. I mean, you can disagree without being disagreeable, right? Activists that cannot inspire greatness. Oh, that's somebody's comment. Well, if you're on YouTube, please double tap on your screen to like. If you're on TV, don't double tap on the screen, unless of course it's smart. No, unless of course you have touch screen. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that please like the live. So the issue is,
you have to get to that point where your age should show in the kind of conversations that you're having.
Number one, I think people have to get to that point where your age should show in the kind of conversations that you're having, right? You should be able to say, you know what, I don't agree with what the president said, and you have a right to not agree, right? And I don't think the president himself would not, acknowledge your rights. So you should be able to say in Koton me believe, but to just say a criminal, you're a this, you're a that. Meanwhile, a lot of what I've noticed about activists, not specifically Sowore, because I've not really, this is not even just about him, it's general. For the most part, they hate to be criticized. They can insult, but they hate to take it. But while I think that it's important, there are things the president says that is human, you can always disagree, but I don't think it's necessary to go as far as saying, say criminal and things like that. It just doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, well, that's me. Anyway, let me read what Sowore then said after
this morning,
DSS reached out to X. X then reached out to Sowore. This morning, X, formerly Twitter, officially contacted me about the despicable threat letter they received from the lawless official DSS NG over my tweet below on Tinubu. One option I would not be taking is deleting that tweet. Thank you, X. Okay. I'm sure they know what to do about that. Just letting you know what's going on, so that in case you start hearing things, we don't want to hear revolution now. Because, back to this. The Petroleum Products Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria and the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria have asked President Bola Tinubu and other stakeholders to intervene in the dispute between the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers and the Dangote refinery. Right. I'm seeing if I can find the full news. I think that news item is actually quite interesting. A person, you guys are not doing what he wants to do. He decides to buy tankers to move his products. Now you want the people that are going to be working for him to join a labor union. Of course, you should be able to join any union you want to join, but I don't understand why they're blowing it out of proportion as though he's doing something wrong. By the way, I sound like this because every time I think of PPRA, Nupeng, all these great people, I always think of 2007. And what happened in 2007 was that the refineries had been sold, right? And then 2007 was when Yar'Adua became president. And NLC Nupeng, all of them began to shout and clamor and say, no, we must reverse the sales. It's a collective. Guinea-Con is our commonwealth. We cannot sell it. They reversed that thing because of the bickering. Since 2007 to now, this is 2025, 18 years later. I don't know if they've brought out up to 100 tankers from all the refineries in Nigeria put together. But guess what? The staff has always been paid. Staff members have been paid. People have been collecting gratuity, pensions the last 18 years. But nobody like say we have oil like that. So at the end of the day, the question is are we protecting our jobs, or do we even have interest for the country? And can we do both at the same time? If you ask me, I think we should do both. You can protect people, but you should think about the collective more than just a few people trying to hold on to something. I don't want to go deep into it, but I'm sure you've read the news. But I hope they're able to sort it out, and he can do what he has to do. And this whole threat of strike, again, doesn't make too much sense to me. All right, and that's because of what, again, 2007, I think that we're still suffering from that. Again, let me finish my thoughts. Guys, I'm sorry, I have thoughts on layers of thoughts on each other, or one another. It takes a leader that's very strong in Nigeria to do what he has to do. If not, people can actually stop you from doing what will help you in the long run because of short-term gains. Which is why nobody ever removed subsidy until Tinubu. Which is why, the refinery sales were reversed. People, they will hail you. Hey, that's it. There's no sense of what we're doing right now is going to affect us 10 years down the line. So what we should have done in 2012, for instance, with subsidy removal, we eventually now did in 2023. We have to wait for more years. And don't tell me that somebody stopped somebody from doing it. It takes a leader who actually has some serious boldness to do what has to be done. Right? Now, speaking of Dangote, somebody brought up his name in a podcast. And then somebody responded to that claim by Cosmas Maduka. So Cosmas Maduka is the CEO of Coscharis Motors. And he said this, I'm going to play the video, you're going to listen to it, and then I'll read to you what Gimba Kakanda wrote about it. He couldn't have said it better than I would have, to be honest, so I think it's just better for me to read his own rebuttal rather than speak on it. So take a listen to Cosmas Maduka and what he has to say about business in Nigeria and what he thinks is happening to Igbo people, because again, all of us, we have to keep listening to this ridiculousness. But it's important to listen because we also have to guard ourselves and guard our hearts so that we don't become victims of people's odd narratives. Take a listen to this.
Need to go too far away. You don't need to go too far away. If you recall, if you follow the news clearly, I think 1985 or 88 by Concord newspaper, I was voted as #1 businessman by Concord. Dangote was #2. Compare my wealth with Dangote today. Dangote can write one check and buy everything I have, and I'm not anywhere. There are privileges that people enjoy. Import license. Femi Odotola at a time had to import only himself had license to bring diesel into this country. Nobody create monopoly for you that you cannot become a multi-billionaire. I don't want to begin to mention them. So let's not get into that. There are things we do. What we are looking for as an Igbo people, we are not asking you give us special favor. We are asking you give us a level playing field.
Yes.
If we succeed, we succeed. If we don't succeed, we don't succeed. We are not asking any preferential treatment. Put us on the field. Let's go and play ball. If I am the best player, take me. Don't tell me that I must bring somebody from Sokoto, I must bring somebody from Ijebu, I must bring somebody from Anambra. Then if somebody did something wrong, if you punish somebody from Sokoto, you must punish another 2 people from Anambra. This federal character is the problem. Create a level playing field so that the best of us could come out. Am I saying there's no good people there are many first-class brain in the northern part of Nigeria and in other part of this country who will excel. But until we have a country that is based on equity and best brain, we will never make any progress as a nation. It's not about preference of where you come from. I'm not asking for any preferential treatment. What I need is a level playing field.
What do you think happened to you?
You know the real issue? By the way, it's raining here, so if you hear some noise, do you know what? You know what is concerning for me? I don't really care about what these adults, these elders are saying, to be honest. No, let me not say it that way. I don't really care about what they are thinking. I care about the impact of the things they say. So in reality, I'm actually more concerned for the young Igbo people who hear this kind of narrative. It's always, they did this to me. You can make all the money in the world, you still be a victim.
No matter what
you can have shops all over Nigeria, you still be marginalized. No matter what you have, you still have to say they should have allowed me to do more. They didn't allow me to do more because I am from this ethnic group. No, it doesn't matter what you do. So let me just say before I even read what Gimba said, if you think that this statement is really about what he's saying it's about, then you don't really get it. For instance, what is the definition of level playing field?
What is that
level playing field that they're asking for? Because these are the things that makes young Yoruba people also let their guards down and say, well, maybe they are doing something to cheat them. Nobody's cheating anybody. You're literally in every local government in Nigeria. If you are so hated, how come they're allowing you? And what's this level playing field thing? You know what? Instead of me to even, let me not do, there's something I said I don't want to do. I didn't want to tell you my thoughts because I think Gimba actually captured it perfectly. So let me read to you what he had to say on this. So he says, this is Gimba Kakanda. This would have been a logical argument if he had not ethnicized it. What Mr. Cosmas Maduka is describing here is called Crony capitalism. And while it happens in every society, whether in America or Germany, the political elite class, particularly in Nigeria, are the least interested in ethnicity, religion, or regional affiliation when it comes to capital accumulation.
While it happens in every society, whether in America or Germany...
Sorry about that, let me take that bit again. So he says, while it happens in every society, whether in America or Germany, the political elite class, particularly in Nigeria, are the least interested in ethnicity, religion, or regional affiliation when it comes to capital accumulation. The irony here is the Koschari's boss himself, talking about the man who just spoke, was also accused of being favored by the government during the All-African Games, or simply Koja, in 2003. When other automobile companies, especially indigenous plants like Peugeot Automobiles of Nigeria, PAN, accused the government of creating a captive market for Koschari's, who was the sole authorized dealer of BMW, for the supply of BMW vehicles to the tournament. It was a raging debate in the 2000s. At that time, there was level playing field. So the claim that the Igbo-owned businesses are sidelined or systematically targeted by government policies is outright false. That's not how crony capitalism operates. Let's look at our aviation sector, for instance. The most favored airline operator today, Air Peace, is owned by an Igbo man. Priority designation on several international routes through diplomatic interventions by Nigeria, and often as the sole Nigerian airline. When in 2021, the UAE restricted Air Peace to one slot, Nigeria retaliated by cutting Emirates flights until Air Peace was granted fair access. This was an unprecedented show of government muscle in defense of a private airline, and the president then was from Daura, Katsina State, and the vice president from Ikene Remo, Ogun State. Even recently, President Tinubu personally secured the Lagos-Sao Paulo route for Air Peace, presenting it as Nigeria's flag carrier. There is nothing that screams monopoly like one airline being referred to as Nigeria's flag carrier by successive governments. But nobody has raised eyebrows, and it is not because the airline has been without disappointments. They've disappointed, but again, it's business, it happens, right? But that's what we think, like, it's a business, they'll fix up, they'll get better, but no. That's not, for them, that's merit. After evacuating Nigerians from xenophobic attacks in South Africa in 2019, the House of Representatives honored Allen Oyema, urged the president to confer a national award on him, and lawmakers even pledged to give Air Peace first consideration when flying on official assignments. Now, here's what preferential treatment looks like through Mr. Maduka's lens, and he would have addressed it if he were being honest. In 2019, our Accident Investigation Bureau accused airpeace of repeatedly failing to report serious safety incidents as required by law. They revealed that after a hard landing incident earlier that year, airpeace did not notify the Bureau for 3 weeks. The Bureau only learned of it from a passenger report. The investigators found the aircraft had suffered structural damage, yet the airline had not filed timely reports and even erased a cockpit voice recorder in one case. Not all airlines were that lucky. Asman, which is owned by a Hausa man, was forced to shut down over aircraft maintenance failures. Again, during COVID-19, when local businesses were hit by the economic hiatus, the Nigerian government approved an aviation bailout for private airlines, and airpeace alone received a grant of about $1.3 million, the highest allocation to any operator. airpeace has also been repeatedly chosen for lucrative government-funded contracts, from evacuations in Ukraine and Sudan to being one of the carriers for annual Hajj pilgrimages. If there truly were an agenda against Igbo-owned businesses, none of these favors and opportunities would have been possible. To insist otherwise is to cling to a victim mentality that blinds us to reality, and that mindset isn't taking us anywhere. Period. Like I said, I couldn't have said it better. But why do I do this? Two things. Number one, Nigerians should know what has happened so that people don't gaslight us or manipulate us with sub-stories and, victim mindset. Number two, if you're an Igbo person, you've got to understand the fact that these people are destroying your mindset. Wasn't it the other time we heard what Peter Dochi had to say about they owned everywhere, they did this, and the United States of America said Igbos are the best in terms of immigrants in America. It did not happen. Oh, they are marginalized everywhere. Chino Achebe also said it. The video is coming out later today, where Chino Achebe was talking about how, they've not been allowed to stretch. And the definition of being allowed to work is to become the Oga of everybody, even if you're not qualified for it, which was what happened between 1960 and 1964. Let me tell you guys, what folks are really looking for is that period all over again, and it is not going to happen. You may have to die and go to some alternative world or maybe heaven or hell to be able to experience that thing, but it's not going to happen in Nigeria again. Where an ethnic group will corner 70% of civil servant or civil service jobs, 60% here, 70% here, 80% here, in lands far away from home. These old tears about they're not allowing us own things, it started after 1966. Actually, it started in 64. But it died down between January and July of 66. Then it went up again after the fight and the massacres in the north. Then, by the time everybody came back to Nigeria in 1970, they were thinking they were going to just do everything they've been doing, just take over everything. Since 1970 to 2025, the tears have not stopped, and they will keep flowing. No, with all due respect, no insult meant, but if you are crying over that thing, you will cry forever. We are tired, right? You're growing up as a young person, you can't even have conversations with the person without the person showing victimhood, making you feel as if you have done something wrong. When they say level playing field, what he's saying is that let me be the person. Let us be the ones who dominate. That's the definition of level playing field. That's not level playing field. There's nothing as level playing field as what we have right now. As a matter of fact, I think in some instances, like in this case of airpeace, I think it actually favors Oyema more than any other airline in this country. Do I have a problem with that? No.
So for every Dangote,
so for every Dangote that is dominating the refinery and the cement sector, because the interviewer just asked the question, what happened to Ibeto? People will go and be importing cement. Let me not even go there. The point is, the person, you can say, this person is dominating cement. Now, I'm not going to hold brief for Aliko Dangote. I'm not on his payroll. In this same country. Where is Dansa? DANSA. His water company. Where is it? Where is his juice company? Where is Dangote noodles? He was forced out. He couldn't play in those fields. He got out of there. There's nothing like Dangote. Those things are gone. I don't know the last time I heard of Dangote spaghetti.
Did you
What's
see
it
him
law?
crying? He had a bank.
Did you see him
Thank you,
crying?
Olu. His tomato paste.
Did you see
That
him
was
crying?
from
He had a bank. Thank you, Olu.
I don't
His
like
tomato paste.
you
What?
have to be very
That
careful
one
of
had
these
problem. He can
words that we throw all around. Monopoly,
see.
monopoly,
I
monopoly.
I
For
don't
instance,
like.
talking about
We have to be very careful of this words that we throw all around. Monopoly, monopoly, monopoly. For instance, we're talking about fuel now. People are saying monopoly. Dangote, they are giving too much power. You don't even have anything. Let him do it.
Oh, okay.
You have no fear. You have somebody who is refining for you, and you're shouting monopoly. Oh, okay. Let's remove his monopoly. What are you going to do next?
As though we have the same reality. You will suffer.
We use all these words that we hear from abroad as though we have the same reality. You will suffer.
Dangote has been forced to selling businesses in this same country.
Rubbish.
When he closed those
The point is, Dangote has been forced out of selling businesses in this same country. When he closed those companies, when he closed those factories, nobody said, let's look for something to do for him. Again, I'm not holding brief for him. His business.
Says they gave us dancer packs for free. Thank you. They want us to continue importing and monopolize the sector. And
Somebody says they gave us dancer packs for free. Thank you. They want us to continue importing and monopolize the sector. And importation doesn't help the country, especially when your importation is almost like more than what they export. Self. And when we export, what do we export? For the most of we export raw materials. Thank God for what the president said last week about shea butter or shea seeds, that now they're going to have to keep it here so that they can actually refine it in Nigeria and process it. Everything is tears. Guys, if you are able, please understand this sincerely. Your enemy is your mind. Or no, it's not like people are actually against you. When Dangote failed, and I want to use that word intentionally, of course it's a success, but successes are not people who didn't fail at anything.
Did you see him say he failed because he was full and because he was Hausa?
When he failed at noodles, did you see him say he failed because he was full and because he was Hausa?
Did Dangote fail in that sector because he was Hausa?
Did Dangote fail in that sector because he was Hausa? Why is your ethnicity the reason for your failure?
Because you can't change it.
And it's a very easy thing to run to because you can't change it.
Since it is something you cannot change,
if it's something you can change, then you can take responsibility. But since it is something you cannot change, number one, you don't take responsibility. Number two, you can blackmail people with it. Were we not in this same country when Mike Adenuga paid over $100 million in early 2000? I think it was 2001 or so. Obasanjo was still the president, trying to get license for GSM. Do you know he didn't get that money back? You know the money was not refundable. That was before Glo. Glo was the second attempt. The first attempt where he lost over $100 million. Back then, $100 million now is a lot of money. Think about it 20 years ago. Or 24 years ago. Did you see him crying that they did it to him because he was Yoruba?
Especially with young people looking up to.
Why do we do this? Especially with young people looking up to all these people. And it doesn't matter how educated certain people are. It doesn't matter how much money they get or they own or they possess. They have the same rhetoric.
Not because they're being marginalized.
Victimhood, marginalization. It must occur. Not because they're being marginalized, but because that's like. It's like the good money in some people's languages. Like you must say it. Not because, it has nothing to do with your present economic state though, but you must say it like, whether you are rich or poor, you say Ẹkáàbọ. So whether you are rich or poor, you must say you are marginalized, even though you are not marginalized, but you have been conditioned to saying it. If you're a young person here, sincerely, this is for you. I don't care about, some ethnic groups are bad, some people are good. That's my business. My business is if you are young, please, be careful of the things that you are taking in, especially if you're from the southeast, because your elders are blessed. That's the only thing I can say. Because there's no way a group looks at the future and the only food they can feed their children is victimhood. And I can assure you, if you don't change your mind personally, you become like these guys. You have money, but you always be inferior in your mind. And inferiority in the mind is worse than poverty as far as pocket is concerned. You may not have money in your pocket, but you know who you are. That knowledge will bring you money. You may have your money in your pocket, but you don't know who you are. Even with that money, there's a way you are going to be looked at. Anything happens like this, is because I'm from here, it's because I'm from there. Why? Guys, it's painful, but I'm thankful to God I'm Yoruba, so I don't really. But we will talk about it because we don't want people to lie to us and our children. Nobody is victimizing anybody.
Anyway,
we are looking for level playing field. Anyway, talking about level playing field, let me create a level playing field for a gentleman. I saw this on X. The person's name is Moshood Oriyomi. I don't know him from anywhere, but I saw what he did and I said I'm going to talk about it in case you know somebody who might be interested. What he does is,
he creates machines.
1 second please. He creates machines, right, that can do all kinds of things. So this particular one, he calls it a floating fish feed extruder. It's the game changer for fish farmers who are tired of expensive feeds. With this machine, you can produce your own quality floating feed, cut costs, and even sell to other farmers. So please look for him on X. His name is Moshood Oriyomi. They've made the machine, and in this particular video is installing for someone at Eyankori in Lorry. It's a farm in Eyankori. In case you want to see it, please just go to the website. You see the video, the videos and the images. I think it's actually quite nice. We should have this, more of this, rather than importing things like this. You see all this production to consumption thing that people are saying. This is how you actually get things sorted. You produce those things, you get the materials. After a while, we move to the next level where we begin to actually manufacture steel by ourselves. Not that be shouting as if without importing, man shall not see God. Importation is only I mean, it works in some instances and there's no problem with it. But if people can provide local alternatives, let's support them. So please, again, check out Moshood Oriyomi on X if you're interested in all those things like fish feeding, poultry, the fabricate machines, right? So I'm literally mentioning his name. Just type his name.
Moving on.
Thank you very much.
Enugu State Forest Guards tasked with
Moving on.
protecting forests and environmental security operations.
Enugu State Forest Guards tasked with protecting forests and environmental security operations across the state. I saw this news over the weekend. I was happy and disappointed at the same time. Happy because Enugu State is, doing something about the forest by guarding it. Disappointed because for some weird reason they couldn't even work together as a region on Ebubiagu. I won't say more than that, but it's just quite interesting that
people do well in their regions, because at this level,
it is well. May people do well in their regions, because at this level, everybody's just lying to everybody. You come to Yoruba land and be telling us how you need unity, but you can't even unite at all. Anyway, before we go on, I want to play a video from a gentleman. All right, let me play it here. It's an Igbo man. He has something to say. I think it's going to. It's a message for all of us, but it's also a message for, especially his own people. I do this again not because I hate a group. I'm trying to, cast aspersions, but they tire. Once you are tired of nonsense, you begin to see the sense in this kind of things. I'll play a bit of it, and then we'll move to other things. Take a listen to this.
Why is it that it is always we, the Igbos, that are always alleging ill treatment by others, particularly outside our communities? I mean, we call it Igbophobia or Igbophobic treatment. Why is it that we are always the ones alleging that treatment? Meanwhile, we the Igbos live in virtually every city and community outside the Igbos in Nigeria. Like we always said, if you go to Sambesa Forest today, you will see an Igbo man there selling. But if you go to Lilu in Anambra State today, even people from Lilu have all left their town, according to Dr. Paul Ezike. So where is the Igbophobic treatment? If we still live and do business in other people's community. Yet, we all every day cry out about being ill-treated. Or this section of Igbos on the social media that cry Igbophobic, are they really in touch with realities? The last time I was in Obama, a Kalabari community, I was surprised to see Igbos in their large numbers. In Isiko, I doubt there is no non-Igbo living in Isiko. In Mbokomanu is a community of about 15 villages. I'm sure you will not see up to 10 non-Igbos, if at all, living there. But I can tell you, there is no community with such number of villages outside the Igbo land that you will not see Igbos. I do not want to talk about those pretend as if we are not aware that there are some Igbo communities and towns where other Igbos are literally not allowed and welcome to live and do business and progress like the indigenous owners of such communities. Now, do you know that in the 5 eastern states of Nigeria, it is only Aba, which indigenously belong to Ungwa people, that allow other Igbos to come and live and do business and live as if they are owners of the place, even participate in political activities. Today, the person representing Aba in the Federal House of Representatives is not even an Ungwa man. Aba has allowed non-Ungwas, non-Abians to even be local government chairman in Aba. There is a particular state constituency in Aba that only non-indigens have always represented them in the House of Assembly. Tell me any other Igbo town that exists. What are we talking about here? Where is the Igbophobic action? I really need to understand. Or should I ask, is there anything in particular that we are doing to people in their communities that is making them to ill-treat us? Is there a way we are behaving? Is there an action that we are taking while living in their communities that is raising these phobic actions or the Igbophobic action? Because I don't understand it.
All right, he says he doesn't understand it. Sincerely, I don't understand either. And over the weekend, I saw a video where someone I think is also trying to make sense of this whole thing. Like, many of us don't understand, and it's not like we don't know how to think. We can think. We can understand many things, but this one, for some weird reasons, I think you know exactly what those reasons are. Anyway, I saw this video over the weekend, a gentleman talking about threats, as far as politics is concerned, in some parts of Nigeria, who, of course, boast and say to Yoruba people that they are not tolerant. Here's something from that part of the country, and also the gentleman speaking on it. Take a listen.
Truth Unveiled, where we separate emotion from reason and bring clarity to the noise.
Now, you see, Nigerians, you get message for now. If I catch anybody say anything against Peter Obi, personally, I go organize guys who go come your house, and anything where your eyes see, you take it.
You the observer. I will reach. How do they call how do they polling units? I will see men they vote. What do they call Atiku or Tinubu? Alpha. Not to understand. If you not say you not go vote, it will be not come out.
You've just seen those 2 videos, you know, young men openly threatening to kill fellow Nigerians simply because they do not support their candidates. One even brandishing a gun. So let's be clear. Welcome to Truth Unveiled, where we separate emotion.
For some reason, that video is not going, further than that.
The point is, those who say that.
Oh, okay. But the point is, those who say that you're not, open and all of those things are the ones who threaten with guns, saying that people have to vote, the candidate. Someone on YouTube says, during the Northern 1966 school, all the Igbo officers were so incompetent that they all ran away and none of them attempted to rescue Iransi to put down the coup. They ran away.
Let's see how this week goes.
I say we're going to revisit the coup very soon. Let's see how this week goes.
Unlicensed chemical producer.
All right, this is from NAFDAC. NAFDAC arrests unlicensed chemical producer, seals illegal water and rice factories in Abuja. NAFDAC has arrested Mr. Ikechukwu Elijah, an unlicensed chemical producer in the Apo Waru area of Abuja, for manufacturing and distributing hazardous, counterfeit, and unregistered chemicals. The suspect, who operated an illegal factory in a residential building, was apprehended alongside his younger brother after NAFDAC operatives uncovered counterfeit insecticides, sealing machines, and other equipment at the premises.
In the same operation, NAFDAC sealed MZ Table Water, an illegal packaged water factory.
In the same operation, NAFDAC sealed MZ Table Water, an illegal packaged water factory in the Damangaza district, for operating under unhygienic conditions with a fake and an expired license. The team also shut down a counterfeit rice operation at a shopping plaza opposite the World Trade Center, Abuja, where rebagged popular brands, packaging materials, and sealing machines worth over 60 million naira were seized. I'm looking at Aizal, counterfeit Aizal, sniper. What kind of human beings are these?
Let's go to something.
Kolonshano.
Yesterday we made history by commissioning.
Let's go to something good. Let's go to good news. Yesterday we made history by commissioning another long abandoned project, the Oshun Farmers House in Osogbo. So we're all the way in Osogbo now. This is from the Governor Demola Adeleke. He says, yesterday we made history by commissioning another long abandoned project, the Oshun Farmers House in Osogbo, initiated by former administration of PDP in Oshun, led by Prince Olagunsoye Oginola, and subsequently neglected by successive administrations, has now been completed and formally handed over to our farmers by my administration. Well, the beautiful thing is that, the farmers are able to. It threw some dust. I'm wondering why it threw those dust. But anyway, I hope it does well for them. Let's just move on. But it's good news. Away from the bad stuff. Speaking of farmers, the federal government through NIPOS, they unveiled NIPOS Agro Logistics Initiative, NILI, a groundbreaking intervention aimed at transforming agricultural logistics and advancing food security in Nigeria. So if you're interested or you're involved in agriculture, farming, and things like that, it says the objectives of NILI are clear: reduce post-harvest losses through improved logistics and timely transportation, strengthen national food security by ensuring availability and accessibility of farm produce, create jobs and empower rural communities through expanded agricultural value chains, foster partnerships between government, farmers, development agencies, and the private sector for a coordinated response to food insecurity. The official launch of NILI was performed by the Honorable Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tijani, alongside the Director General of NIPOS, Tola Odeyemi. So it's something that I think would change the game, would be a game changer as far as logistics is concerned in the agricultural sector. We know that it's a major problem. When I was in secondary school, when we were doing agriculture, one of the major problems was transportation. So you have harvest wasting away in the farms and not able to get to the markets because of bad roads and transportation and all that. But this time around, NIPOS will be filling in that gap. They will be moving those things for the farmers, and that's really good news. And in that, of course, we heard of the Minister Bosun Tijani, who of course has the NIPOS under his Ministry of Information, Communication, and so on. So there was an interview that was conducted a while back, not too long ago, I think it was just recently, where the actor Shola Shobowale interviewed him, and they were talking about NIN and BVN and the complexities and how cumbersome, registrations go in Nigeria. So he had this to say. Please take a listen to the Minister, Bosun Tijani.
Minister, sir, you have said a lot of amazing things about internet, but how is government going to use internet and technology to make our lives easier? Cherry BVN, NIN, even passport, wahala.
Well, historically, we've built the technologies that are used for each of these things in silos. So Elia built it here, that agency will build their own, this one will build on separate. So those technologies are not connected to one another, which is why if you want to today register for driver's license, the same data that you have for passport that could have been useful, you have to give it all over again. So what the president has done this year is to put together a committee of all the critical organizations in government that are responsible for these different things, to start what we now call the DPI committee, Digital Public Infrastructure Committee. And our ministry is part of that committee. So we've released a standard that says technology in government must connect to one another. And where we're going with that committee is that it will get to a point where until if you sign up for passport, you don't need to go and queue to do the same for your driver's license. Services will now be seamless. That's what we're putting in place. So the two documents in our own terminology, both the standards and the frameworks that are required for those things to happen, we've done them in the first 2 years. Now it's now the work of the committee to do one thing, which is important: the data exchange system, the technology that will allow those data to be exchanged. And that's where we are, and that's what we're building.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I thought that was actually a very, very beautiful innovation, and we're looking forward to the rollout of that particular platform to help people centralize, all these things, where you don't have to move from agency to agency, giving them the same data. We should have centralized database for things like that. Lastly, I'm going to speak on this thing going on social media.
Let me play the video first. Which I want to talk. That's why let me save myself from.
Let me play the video first. Which I want to talk. Let me save myself from, because or we have to call ourselves back. Let's take a listen to the video that I want to respond to, so that it makes it easier for me to. So you know why I want to say what I want to say. Take a listen to this.
Guys, my name is Uzo. Hi guys, my name is Uzo, and I wanted to break down how I planned my homecoming solo exhibition in Lagos, Nigeria. The concept of an Awama exhibition is blending traditional and contemporary art through an immersive experience rooted in Lagos party culture. I created a fabric pattern that will be available for purchase before opening night for the Lagos audience to wear the art, embedding them in the narrative and making them a living part of the exhibition. I got a property in Lagos for a daily exhibition.
You see, it's not a problem if you're from a place where the culture is not so grand that it can be shared with the world. It's not a problem if your definition of homecoming has you returning to everywhere but home. So you're coming everywhere but you're not coming home. It's not really a problem. Like if you want Yoruba land to be your home because we are all in one Nigeria, well, I mean, you can move around like we're all Nigerians. But I think there's this insidious campaign going on, and it's the Nigerianization of everything Yoruba. And for the Yoruba people who feign ignorance and who, for some reason, perch on the pseudo-intellectual platforms, you're not that smart. The truth of the matter is that, and this is to those Yoruba, I don't really think about this other ones. Lose what is yours is not wisdom, it's actually foolishness. You're not even being liberal, you're just being dumb. Because what's happening is, history is being rewritten in a very present. So, for instance, once people go as far as changing the ownership of the very source of Yoruba people, nothing can be. I'm not surprised by anything they do. So, for instance, talking about Lagos party culture, I mean, before now it probably wouldn't mean much, but seeing that you are going to talk about everything Yoruba without ever using that word shows that there's something crazy that's going on. Meanwhile, you can plaster your ethnic group over things. And when people speak of, they're called tribalists, they're called bigots. And I know they're extremes. But let's just talk for a minute. This thing is not yours.
Can you take advantage of it and even make money?
This thing is not culturally yours. Can you take advantage of it and even make money off of it? Of course. I mean, it's art, right? But every sensible artist has a way of acknowledging the source of their creation, especially if it's something that is not original to them. Because it takes a lot to create original stuff. And no, you're not creating anything original. You're using what has been boring. And it's not a problem. Spelling is a problem. Spelling M at N is a problem. But you go real issue. Sorry. Okay,
I think I
say him go me TikTok. Okay, I think our YouTube is back. Say him go me.
You are right,
Uncle, it's O and B. It's not O and B. It's M and N. You are right though, but don't lose the plot. The plot is appropriation without acknowledgement. That is the real issue. The spelling is important, but it's secondary. The real thing is a person who is bold enough to use what's yours, but will never mention that. And because you're already saying Lagos is no man's land.
And you never mention the people that actually make it legal.
So when you say it's a Lagos thing, and you never mention the people that actually make it legal, what's Owambe? Nigerianizing or Nigerianization of Yoruba culture it's the time it's over.
You see how they talk about what is there.
Because when it's yours, and I saw it, I don't want to read it because it just, you see how they talk about what is theirs, and they make sure they mention the ethnic group, and they talk about the greatest, and by the way, I support it.
We have university choir.
Talk about the greatest of your ethnic group. You know, when I was in school, I was part of the university choir. We have university choir in Ife.
I was a member of university choir. There's a song that...
Sorry about that. I was a member of university choir. There's a song that one of the...
Now, it's Igbo.
One
of the things you have to...
Now, it's
Igbo. You have to acknowledge... I mean, when he was teaching us the song,
one of the things you have to acknowledge. I mean, when he was teaching us the song, he had to tell us stories when he was in Owerri, how he met with somebody, the story behind the song, and then it just shows that you are a human being. Anything else shows that you are not developed. You have not fully evolved.
It's the truth.
And it's not every Nigerian that is a fully evolved Homo sapien. It's the truth.
We are all human beings. That's what we do. Like
a lot of what we do in Nigeria, we do it based on assumptions that we are all human beings. That's what we do. Like we assume that we are all Homo sapiens, and maybe we all are Homo sapiens at different levels. But clearly, from what you see on a daily basis, I think our evolution for some people is not complete. What's the big deal in acknowledging that you are using something that belongs? You have nothing like that where you're coming from.
I saw one wearing clothes meant for certain.
That one was not even done yet. I saw one wearing clothes meant for certain, class of people, like a particular class of people in Yoruba land. That one wore it, said it's going for a wedding. It's not saying it. Like, you have to evolve to the point where you can be like other human beings. You can do stuff, and see, acknowledging something is especially for a group that will not even collect anything from you. They're not asking you for anything. Unlike certain places that you go in Nigeria, if you want to buy cement, you have to pay the boys. If you want to, we know these things. If you want to carry rice cross Upper Iweka, you will pay some people. Like, that's not what's happening here. Just basic decency, common courtesy.
I just don't like this Nigerianizing Yoruba thing. I think it's nonsense. If it's yours,
I just don't like this Nigerianizing Yoruba thing. I think it's nonsense. If it's yours, it's from ethnic group. If it's Yoruba, it's for all of us. Ashebi. What's Ashebi? Tell me break it down etymologically. Tell me, break down those words and tell me what those words mean in your part of the world. What's Ashebi?
I heard Gele is from one part. Again, guys, these things consider these things to be petty, but like I said,
heard Gele is from one part. Again, guys, these things I used to consider these things to be petty, but like I said, it be you guys come at TV channel, conquer is ogun.
things that are concerning.
It be keke by. You know, man,
Trying to change people's
things that are concerning.
before.
We are literally trying to change people's stuff in there before.
You didn't have it.
There's not like Ashebi is Ashwebi. You have nothing to do with Gele. You didn't have
It's a
it.
recent thing. And what they call Ishafu is from French.
The first of people that use Gele is a recent thing, and what they call Ishafu is from French.
That his parents are wasting their time because they are because you must be talking to.
You know, somebody says that his parents are wasting their time because they are one. Because you must be talking to your parents, Casey boy.
This stupidity is continental.
So this is how you know, again, people who have sense. Like it looks like this stupidity is continental. Not going to be sharing. I don't know why you would talk like this to me. So you must be talking to your parents. And the concept of oneness that your parents have used since the 1930s, we have to start redefining it. We are not one like that. You said your parents are wasting their time and that we are one. We are not one like that. We are not one like that. The oneness that erases people's uniqueness is not oneness, it's erasure. And the reason you have no history, no culture, nothing grand in your history.
I think it's more to be reminding you these things. Not out to, we're not fighting or just making certain things straight.
I think it's more to be reminding you these things. Not out to, we're not fighting or just making certain things straight. All the books published in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s that talks about that compared ethnic groups in Nigeria, everyone mentions your group in terms of not having anything great to look back to.
Good luck, but don't do it at the expense of other people.
And if you're trying to redefine yourself, good luck, but don't do it at the expense of other people.
Hold on to it as if you want to die on top of it. But if you take something that belongs to other people,
once something belongs to you, you will hold on to it as if you want to die on top of it. But if you take something that belongs to other people, you say we are one. What kind of stupid oneness is that? What is your group? Whatever group you belong to.
If you can state them, you know what? I won't just state
somebody
them.
Says, what books are those? If you can state them, you know what? I won't just state them. I'm going to, since you asked, I never thought you were going to ask. Oh my God, God is good though. See, this is how God does marvelous things. He has done marvelous. Let me look for one book for you. If I look for two, Obafemi Awolowo. If you had known, you had just let me continue to say what I want to say. But you asked for sources, so let me give you two.
There's nothing bad in becoming,
there's nothing bad in redefining yourself. There's nothing bad in becoming, you are growing. And everybody, see, there's no culture that is perfect. Everybody is evolving. But you see, as you are evolving, you evolve like a human being. Why you be troubling everybody? That is I'm going to look for two books. I want to first read. I've read that one here before. I'll read it again because it answers the question.
Why am I laughing? I'm laughing because I'm about to read is heavy. So I want
he has done. Why am I laughing? I'm laughing because what I'm about to read is heavy. So I want to douse. Guys, I'm asking the question and answering myself because this is how it works. So I'm going to read from The Listener. It was published in 1960. It's not here. Where's that book?
I'm going to read The Listener, and I'm going to read. Then I'm
going to read The Listener. Then I'm going to read. Found it. Then I'm going to. Let me find the other book as well. Somebody said these are propaganda books. Oh, Badun. Oh, Badun. I mean, you are not all right. Dabere. I say it in Yoruba. I mean, you are not all right because if you're all right, I'd have explained to you.
The point is.
The point is, this, you know the funny thing, right? This book I'm about to read, this woman was one of the major supporters of Biafra.
Major supporters of Biafra until she traveled to Nigeria.
One of the major supporters of Biafra until she traveled to Nigeria and she discovered that she was lied to. I've not even read the book. You're already saying it's propaganda. Oh, Badun. May you be all right eventually in Jesus' name.
And this is not, and it's not even an insult, it's an observation.
Well, you don't seem like you're all right. And this is not, and it's not even an insult, it's an observation. Oh wow, okay. But I'll read those things to you. Just give me a second. I found one. I'll open the other one.
I found the two, so there will be no issues when I want to switch. Let's start with.
All right, we're good. I found the two, so there will be no issues when I want to switch. Let's start with Majiparam. Again, Majiparam was a major supporter of Biafra. You can Google her. She was a dame attached to Oxford University. She was, as a matter of fact, she even wrote. She wrote. She was pushing for Biafra essentially in the UK, right? And she's very respected in academic colonial circles. If you want to read anything about colonial Nigeria, especially from around the 50s into the 60s, you'll see the name here and there. Then you can, put it together. You're asking what's the name of the author? I literally mentioned the name like 5 times in the last 1 minute. Marjorie. I think at this point I have to be spelling because it's Sowore. Marjorie. Herham. She said this on 20th October 1960. It was published in The Listener. And this is what she had to say. CEO, no, it's fine, it's fine. I hope you got it now. You know what? Let me even do more than what I was supposed to do. Marjorie is spelled M-A-R-G-E-R-Y. M-A-R-G-E-R-Y. Then Peram is P-E-R-H-A-M. Okay? I'm reading from The Listener of 20th October 1960. So she says here, beneath these difficult restraints, regional differences are great. I believe that the Igbo are the main force for unity. They need unity. Because the main force for unity. That's why, if you notice, in the history of Nigeria, there's no ethnic group in this country that uses that word unity more than the Southeasterners. And it's not because of you, it's because of the next statement. They need unity. As the poor pour out of the overcrowded forests to seek work all over the other regions. I omitted a particular part that mentioned the fact that they've struck mineral oil. I like to say that because the mineral oil was not in Igbo land, it was in Eastern region. So it says, as the poorest region, they have had to pour out of the overcrowded forest to seek work all over the other regions. Again, having no great history, no impressive chiefs or cities, they need to find their pride, their fulfillment in Nigeria itself.
I promise to Abi. By the way, I'm not reading this because of anything.
That's the first one. You asked for, I promise to Abi. By the way, I'm not reading this because of anything. I'm responding to the person who asked for the authors that names. So that's the first one. Let me read the second one to you. That one you won't, I'm sure you probably say it's nonsense, but that's your business. The band is called Athen and Nauru. And this is what he had to say. He had talked about different parts of Nigeria, talked about the north, the west, Benin, Niger Delta, talked about Calabar. And then he called the Igbos the loosely organized Igbo peoples in the hinterland of the former eastern region. Then he says, of the 3 most populous ethnic groups of Nigeria, therefore, Hausa Fulanis, Igbos, Yorubas, only the Igbos never had an organized state, an imperial past, or a golden age. They had not centralized political administration or loyalties and never had an era of kings, dukes, or conquerors. You find that in Crisis and Conflict in Nigeria by A.H.M. Green. If you want more sources, please feel free to ask me. I'll probably take you to G.T. Baston. You will not like what you find there, Sha, but Notes on the Igbo Country Among the Igbos of Nigeria by G.T. Baston. Let's not go to those ones, please. I'm begging you, let's not go there. I don't want to. This one is still, we're just talking. So those 2 books should help you. The point I'm trying to make that you thought you probably got derailed me is that you guys talk about unity a lot because you need it. There's one thing that Anthony Nauro said here. He said that they have come to see Nigeria. He said, no, let me read it. No, I don't want to quote it out of context. I was talking about the captured documents.
Everybody should just be.
What page is that? everybody should just be, let's just do well in Nigeria, but everybody should know their place. Don't act like you are all that. Captured documents now confirm that after the war, that the intention of the former eastern regions, I'll take that again. Captured documents now confirm that the intention of the former eastern authorities was to conquer the former midwestern and western regions, and then in a later phase subdue the former northern region. This was not surprising. Igbos need to work and trade over the whole of Nigeria, which they have always known in this century as their country.
Somebody says hard to conquer and had no monarchy and can't still implement the indirect rule, so they called it primitive.
Somebody says hard to conquer and had no monarchy and can't still implement the indirect rule, so they called it primitive. No, it was because it was primitive.
They didn't call it primitive, it was primitive.
Oh God. They didn't call it primitive, it was primitive.
Charge on the bank of the Niger.
Recommend the book.
That was published in
Charge on the Bank of the Niger. Ajayi Crowther was published in 1866.
You know what? Let me read that one. Because it's not been nice. I'll just mention book like that.
You know what? I might give you work, so I apologize for just telling the title. Let me look for the book. Niger. This might help. I hope I was right with the dates. Let's check, just to be sure. We don't like to. Yes, 1866. Somebody says don't go there.
No, it's 1866.
He's asking question now.
Why are you making a point out of putting our fellow Igbo?
No, it's 1866. I'm looking at it right now. Why are you making a point out of putting our fellow Igbo people down in particular? Má ṣe yàrá ẹlẹ́nu ní ọjọ́ kan tí ó dàgbà. Ṣé o fẹ́ dàgbà? Ṣé o fẹ́ dàgbà kéèsì? Torí pé nǹkan Yorùbá túmọ̀ sí pé o ní ọpọlọ Yorùbá o. Tó bá tẹ̀jẹ̀ Yorùbá gan kò túmọ̀ sí pé o ní ọpọlọ rárá. Ṣé o fẹ́ dàgbà? Ìbéèrè nìyẹn tó bá ti dá mi lóhùn máa dẹ́ lóhùn. Giddy boy, you want to learn. Thank you for, you are the one that even made me to be reading all these things. But, what are friends for? Although I don't know you, but let's just assume that I know you. Let's do the work of the Lord. So again, this book is called Charge Delivered on the Banks of the River Niger in West Africa. It was published in 1866 by Samuel Ajayi Crowther. Let's do it this way. I'm not going to read it. Giddy boy, you want to learn, but let me not be the one to teach you this one today. I've read 2. Out of 3, I've read 2 for you. The book is here. It's not like but I don't think I want to read it. I don't think I want to.
Not today. But that's the book.
No. You are Yoruba. You're also Yoruba. So if Giddy boy asks me to read it, I promise I'll read it. But if he doesn't, then I will just say that you can get the book.
Oh, you say I should read it?
Let me see if I can find that page and then I can recommend the page. Oh, you say I should read this? Oh, really? Okay. I'm saying that because it might sound a bit heavy and I'm not doing this because I'm trying. You asked me for books. I've given you 2. The first one is The Listener by where Majiparam wrote in October of 1960, 20th October 1960. The other one is from 12th August 1968 by Anthony Nauro in Crisis and Conflict. That was a speech he gave at Addis Ababa. This third one is a charge delivered on the banks of River Niger by Samuel Ajayi Crowther in 1866. You want me to read it, so let me see if I can quickly help with that.
Industrious habits have been encouraged. So, backstory.
Industrious habits have been encouraged. So, backstory. By the way, let me pause. I saw we are reading. Just hold on. Somebody said that Eko is that Ogidi or whatever that is originally Igbo, and that it was the Igbos who taught Yoruba people that we began to call our own after they started having Eko. What the ignorant clown didn't know is the fact that corn was introduced to Igbo land by Ajayi Crowther. Corn, Agbado. Corn.
Habits have been encouraged.
If you think I'm lying, give me a second. Let's get into this. Industrial habits have been encouraged. When we arrived at Onitsha in 1857, we found the people in a state of idleness, and with its attendant evils, they were scantily and filthily clothed, and in a state bordering upon starvation, especially between the cessation of the old and the ripeness of the new crops. The old crops were barely sufficient to supply their scanty ones for 9 months of the year. They did not grow more, although the exuberant fertile soil was ready to yield them 100-fold increase in return. The remaining 3 months was a time of dearth and scarcity, when they had to live upon fruits and other edible plants, the spontaneous produce of the fields, as might be found in the bushes anywhere. But since the introduction of the cassava plant, it's called cassada here, but it's cassava. Since the introduction of the cassava plant into the country by Mr. Taylor and other fruit trees, and the people have been taught to raise a second crop of Indian corn. When you see Indian corn, it's telling you the origin of the corn. Indian here is not India, the country or the subcontinent. Back in the day, they referred to the Americans as Indians, Red Indians, courtesy Columbus, right? So they call them Indians. Now we call them Native Americans, right? Indians. So when you hear Indians, he's not talking about India. He's talking about people in the Americas, you know, Native Americans, Mexicans, people in West Indies, all those areas. That's the Native Americans, right? By the way, corn is actually native to them, not to us. Even we got it from them. That's why you people, we have a saying, it's a saying that tells you the history of the fact that we didn't have corn originally. But guess what? We are mature. We are civilized. We can acknowledge that. It is those who, I don't know where they are from, that will continually kill themselves over things. Instead of you to thank Ajakrada for introducing corn, you say you are the one that gave it to us.
We got cassava.
Like, it makes no sense.
We got a lot of things, but we had some.
We got corn. We got cassava. We got cocoa. We got a lot of things, but we had some as well. We had cocoyam. We had millet. Oka, millet. Right? Because thankfully, see, in Yoruba land, we have the marshy area, the swamps, but we also have savanna. So we're able to grow different kinds of crops in different parts of Yoruba land. But that corn, they gave it to us. They gave it to us, and we're thankful. Even cocoa came via Brazil. So Agbado, do we collect it and plant? Yes, now they planted it now. A lot of these things came from two major people helped us with a lot of crops in the 19th century. Number one, were the slave returnees, the Saro. I said I'm going to do a session on them, but one day we'll do it. The Sierra Leoneans, you know, God, thank God for elders. I was told last week about how some of them put money together and bought an ocean liner, said they were going back to Nigeria to preach the gospel. As we're going, they brought crops with them. These were former slaves or rescued slaves that were settled in Freetown. We have them to thank for a lot of things. By the way, this Mr. I think it was Mr. Taylor or Mr. John Smart. Also, there's one of them who also has Igbo heritage, who was also taken as slave. The Saro folks who returned brought some crops with them. Then the Portuguese also brought some crops with them. But it's fine, because we at least can acknowledge the fact that nobody say they drop everything from heaven. It is when you are underdeveloped that you cannot appreciate or acknowledge the source of what you are now enjoying. Nobody's going to tell me now that I should not eat eba because it's not from Yoruba land. But to say that it is not from here does not mean that I'm somehow making myself smaller, unless of course I'm thinking smaller than I should, which would be an aberration considering after all. Let's get back to this. So he says here, where was I? No, we'll just start from the beginning. Industrial habits have been encouraged. When we arrived at Onitsha in 1857, we found the people in a state of idleness with its attendant evils. They were scantily and filthily clothed. Listen, Onitsha was actually one of the happening places. and they were scantily and filthily clothed. That's why when a person tells me that they own Gili or they introduce Asho to Yoruba, I'm like, show Badu.
Northcote did a lot of work.
Northcote did a lot of work all over Nigeria. Again, I don't think I'm going to share some of those because they are online, but because there's no way you're going to share this and it won't look as if you're trying to demean the people. But the images, excuse me, there are images of different groups of people all over Nigeria still available.
See,
the person will come and talk about Ishafu and tell me that see, you are trying to find yourself. I mean, you be found, but don't not the one on my sort of me. Don't come to my space to try and be rewriting my history in order to make yourself feel comfortable. It's disrespectful. Makes no sense.
I think I said this last week. Whenever you look around Nigeria, anywhere you go.
Let me tell you something. I think I said this last week. Whenever you look around Nigeria, anywhere you go. Let me say it this way.
This is actually true more for the 1960s.
Even today, because this is actually true more for the 1960s than now. But even today, if you go into parts of the country, so today I'm going to twist it. Today, 2025, if you go to some parts of Nigeria, let's say the farther you go away from the cities or towns, and you notice the elders wearing second-hand clothing, it didn't have anything to do with fashion. There was no fashion industry in those spaces until the 20th century.
And I'm not mentioning any part of Nigeria.
I am saying it definitively. And I'm not mentioning any part of Nigeria. Anywhere you go in the country, and you go away from the cities, and you see the elders wearing second-hand clothing, it's a sign that the people did not start having clothes until the 20th century. When I say 20th century, I'm saying like 70 years ago.
So, you're not the one that will not come and be telling me that we named the clinic on Gidi.
So, you're not the one that will not come and be telling me that we named the clinic on Gidi Gidi. Just anything to shy around away from using the word Yoruba, as if it makes you smaller in essence. Anyway, I don't want to explain this thing too much. So it says they were in a state bordering upon starvation. Again, in the 1400s, the Portuguese were buying clothes from Yoruba people. Clothes that were traveled all the way from Isheyin all the way to Ijebu. Clothes that Ijebu people manufactured themselves. Clothes that were made in different parts of Yoruba land will be bought by Ijebu people. Back in the 11th century, the Ijebu would travel and bring salt and fish to Ife.
Trade amongst Yoruba subgroups.
They will trade amongst Yoruba subgroups. This is like 8th century. I mean, all over they've always been trading. So they have like specific time that you're going to. And everybody, of course, went to trade in Ife because it had a very big market, Ejibumoko. And then they will travel from different parts, and they'll come. So they'll come to Ife, they'll bring salt, they'll bring things, they will trade, they'll get clothes. All those things continued well into the 14th century, even into today. Right now, there are market days in some parts of Osun State. You see people from Ijebu there. And there are market days in parts of Ijebu. You see people from Osun State there. If you travel a lot, you discover that Yoruba is not based on the express that you are seeing. For instance, Tobambola, if you are coming from Ondo State, if you're coming from Benin to Lagos, you're coming from from Benin, you get to a place, you see Osun Ogun River. There is a path. I mean, if you go by that side, you can get to Ogun State. You don't have to go through Ibadan. If you are going to Ondo State, you discover that you don't have to go through Ogun State. In terms of what I mean by that, you don't have to come out and go through Shagam to get to Ondo State. You can literally go through Lekki and get to Ondo State. That's Yoruba land. I mean, by the way, right, it was discovered there by a German company. Anyway, you can get to Araromi. That's what I'm trying to say. You can get to Araromi, Ondo State from Lekki, from Lagos, without having to go through Ibadan. So when you say Ijebu, to us it's like, Ijebu, but in reality, man navigate like that. Akom was a central market. People would travel from Oyo, and the Oyo I was talking about, the Oyo I'm talking about is Oyo in Kwara State. Not this Oyo.
All the way from Kwara, they'll go to Akom.
People go, and of course, even with this Oyo too, they used to do the same thing. But Oyo, all the way from Kwara, they'll go to Akom to go and trade. People will travel from Ijebu. What I'm trying to say is that while they are trading, they will buy clothes, right? They've always done that. So whether the clothes coming from Iseyin or coming from Ife itself or made by Ijebu people, those clothes were getting to as far away as Ghana and Portugal through the trade between Ijebu people and the Portuguese.
This was in the 1400s.
Through the trade between Ishekiri people and the Portuguese. This was in the 1400s. I'm not saying we started making clothes in 1400s. I said that's when the Oyinbo people started buying it from us. As at the 12th century, we had an organized manufacturing hub for fashion, for clothing in Ife. And I'm not saying that's when we started making clothes. I'm saying that time we already have an industry. I was talking to my brother last week. Came visiting and we're talking about glass beads, and I was like, do you know there were hectares of land, northern part of Ife, that was dedicated just to glass beads? It was an industrial park. When was this? In the 1000s.
11th century. That's 1,000 years ago. There was an industrial park.
In the 1000s, that's 11th century. That's 1,000 years ago. There was an industrial park just for bead making. You have crucibles, you have the snail shell, you have the silicon, you have all the raw materials that they're using, and that's where they were. 1,000 years ago, you have industrial park. A person wakes up today, is telling me Yoruba is it is well. Nigeria to my dear.
1857.
So he says, they were scantily and filthily clothed when 1857.
When they said bordering upon starvation, especially between the cessation of the old and the ripeness of the new crops.
When they said bordering upon starvation, especially between the cessation of the old and the ripeness of the new crops. The old crops were barely sufficient to supply the scanty ones for the 9 months of the year. They did not grow more, although the exuberant fertile soil was ready to yield. Sorry, I'll take that again. They did not grow more, although the exuberant fertile soil was ready to yield them 100-fold increase in return. The remaining 3 months was a time of dearth and scarcity, when they had to live upon fruits and other edible plants, the spontaneous produce of the fields, as might be found in the bushes anywhere. But since the introduction of the cassava plants, in other words, it was the Majai Crowther and his team that introduced cassava. That's not the only thing. They introduced cassava plants into the country by Mr. Taylor and other fruit trees, and the people have been taught to raise a second crop of Indian corn by Mr. John Smart, a scripture reader, and how to grow their yams better by the united example of all the mission agents. They have had enough to eat and to spare. The introduction of the cassava plant into the country is universally acknowledged as one of the greatest temporal blessings brought to them by their zealous minister. The trading establishment has contributed greatly to stimulate them to labor in collecting palm oil for sale, for which they are paid in Manchester goods. And now they are getting into the habit of going about more cleanly and decently apparelled.
There's nothing to be ashamed of in this story.
More decently apparelled. And there's nothing to be ashamed of in this story.
It just shows evolution.
Nothing. It just shows evolution.
Why am I reading this?
You evolved. We're here. You are here now. Why am I reading this? There is no way on God's own earth where this is the story of some of the best people of your clan. And then you come out in 21st century and then look at me, eyeball to eyeball, and tell me you gave me something that you could not even possess. Not that you didn't even have until it was introduced to you by one of my own. And then when I talk, I can't talk because me speaking is showing that I'm a tribalist. No. If that's your definition of tribalism, it means you're not very smart.
I hate that thing in this Nigeria. We are better
And Yoruba people, I'm not saying this in order to say, oh, we are better than, again, I hate that thing in this Nigeria, we are better. There is nobody to compare yourself. If you're a Yoruba person, you're comparing yourself with Igbo, they think have clothes, we have clothes. It just shows that you two are not thinking straight. The truth of the matter is that, kò sẹ́gbẹ́ yín tó sí. Tí ìbá ṣe Igbo rádá tó yóò wá kàn bá fàǹsì, kò sí ẹgbẹ́ wa kankan. In tó súnmọ́ wa, ẹ máa lọ sókè Ọya. Ẹ máa lọ sókè Ọya. Torí àwọn tiẹ̀ ní wọ́n láṣà, wọ́n ní tàn.
Who introduced you to one
Who
was one of your own to that person he was following? I've said this several times. I don't think you are here to listen.
Who introduced you to one of your own? Who was one of your own to that person he was following? I've said this several times. I don't think you are here to listen.
Let me say something about Saro returnees.
If you were here and you were using your ears instead of your fingers, you'd have heard me say something about Saro returnees. The Saro are the Sierra Leonean returnees, and one of them was Amajayi Crowther.
But guess what? They made things on ground.
And we are not proud to say that they introduced some of those things to us. But guess what? They made things on ground. The difference is that for you, they didn't mean anything on ground, but they introduced things to you. But they made things on ground, sharp, but it was scantily and filthily. You get the point. Let's not go deep into it. I'm sure you get the point. Àwọn kọta tí ń bá ṣe tipẹ́tipẹ́ àwọn ará òkè Ọya. Odò Ọya is River Niger, by the way. River Niger. So àwọn ará Àríwá, people in the north, the Hausa. We've had business dealings with those ones for centuries. There's no perfect group, but at least there you can see a level of civilization. And everybody is civilized, at least now. Everybody is civilized, so we're all civilized. And may God help all of us. But I hate and I don't use the word hate frivolously, but I really do hate the idea of rewriting my story in order to make yourself feel comfortable. I'm not the reason for your underdevelopment. I cannot pay for you waking up today. As I was talking, somebody just came in. You know, today I want to actually flex a bit before I even get to the topic, so you are helping me. Also, Bariba people, yes. Bariba people, yes. Bariba are very close now. Bariba, Nupe, those ones are very close. And they're not really Okioya like that because they're also on this side and on that side. Somebody says Igbos are the richest tribe in Africa. Okay. Next. Igbos are special. Okay. Next.
You a baby. You know the brain you're using to type this thing is not different from.
Are you a baby? You know the brain you're using to type this thing is not different from that of a toddler. Baba mi ò lè bẹ̀, ìyá mi ò lè bẹ̀, èmi nìkan mo lè bẹ̀, bẹ̀ lọ́mọdé, bẹ̀. I'm better than you. Are you a baby?
See, that's what I tell you to you about people. When you use information like this to say we are better than evil.
I literally just said, see, that's what I tell you to Yoruba people. When you use information like this to say we are better than Igbo, it's actually demeaning to you as a Yoruba person. You shouldn't be saying that. Like you're hearing me for the first time say that if you are looking for someone to compare yourself with as Yoruba, and you are serious, I can recommend a few groups. You look at China.
Look at England.
5,000 years of unbroken history. Look at England. They were doing something similar to what Oduduwa was doing in the 9th century. You look at Northern Europe, the Scandinavians. Their story is similar to ours. Those are the people to compare ourselves to. You see, if you want to be happy about life, you look at people who are lower than you. If you want to challenge yourself, you look at people who are higher than you. So it makes absolutely no sense to be talking to somebody who is saying we are the richest group in Africa. Our billionaires used to wear singlets. But none of them is on Forbes. It is well. The only thing similar is the presence of a monarchy. No. I don't think you really understand this, Giti. The presence of a monarchy, the king doesn't just exist for being there. So when you see the word monarchy, say Yoruba people have kings. Giti boy, I thought we were talking now. Let me just respond. When you have, Yoruba people had kings, I also have kings also, so that means that they are just together. You don't understand. It's not about that. And since you brought that up, let's talk about it. You know, guys, today is Monday. By the way, Akintola is on Wednesday. Today I was going to talk about education and then introduce Akintola. They'll discuss Akintola and Awo on Wednesday. Thank you for the gift. So let's just take some time to answer some of these questions. God is good. All right.
It is not
See, when you hear that a group has centralized authority, it is not an end in itself. It's a means to an end. What it shows is that for you to have that kind of structure, where you have a person that leads and everything, that monarchy you're talking about, it's a sign of an evolved political structure, or no, a politically evolved group of people. In other words, they have gone beyond looking at things through the prism of families. So I'll give an example, and I'm going to use yours to explain something. So everybody on earth, our political structure, even to today, begins with the family. The family is the smallest unit of government. That's the beginning of his home. That's the beginning of politics. For some people, I don't mention it because but for some people in Nigeria, that's for some people, I don't mention it because the thing I want to say. So you have a father. For some people in Nigeria, that's the end of leadership. And then it becomes the head. So you have a father, he gives birth to children, and then they become a clan, and then he becomes the head. So he's a clan head. In some parts of the country, that's the highest form of leadership. It's not about just having a is it because you have monarchy? If you have a monarch, it signals a lot of things. It's not about just having a or is it because you have monarchy? That's not the point. It's a sign of something. And I'll give you an example. Number one, it could be a sign of heroism. For instance, there are certain groups in Nigeria, and they've, unless of course you insult me, I won't mention the group. You cannot name one hero. No, somebody came the other day, I was insulting Yoruba people. That's the only time I talk about things like that. So I was like, in your ethnic group, tell me 10 heroes before the British arrived in Nigeria that you had in your ethnic group. How about 3? Make it 2. Let's make it 5. How about 3? Make it 2. Give me 1. None. Most likely people will gravitate towards that person. If you have a hero who has done something that no other person has done, most likely people will gravitate towards that person. Of that sort, like that monarchy, is a sign that you don't have a history of heroism. So the fact that you don't have anything like of that sort, like that monarchy, is a sign that you don't have a history of heroism in your culture. And this is not just about Yoruba thing. It's the same thing in Rome. It's the same thing in Greece. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, I was talking about the Anabasis of Alexander. Sorry, the Anabasis of Alexander. Look at how, I mean, Athens, Sparta, Macedon, all of those Greek city-states were doing their own thing. But even in those places, what they had was a city-state, not a clan. So the idea basically is that, and each city-state had a head. Because maybe has done something great. I'll give another example. So the idea basically is that you have a person that you can gravitate towards because maybe has done something great. I'll give another example. After the end of the Ogiso dynasty in Benin, which by the way was started by a Yoruba man, and I will be saying these things because I saw one clown who did a video. Again, you guys don't be looking for trouble of Yoruba people. Like, there's no need. Stop looking for trouble. Your history is, I just don't have time for it yet. Anyway, Ogiso dynasty was started by a Yoruba man, which is, read intelligence report on Benin by H.F. Marshall. You see it there. The very first Ogiso. Let's not go into that. Anyway, the point is that after the end of that dynasty, when the last one died, there was a man who, there was an interregnum, so to speak. A man rose, was able to save the Benin people. No, it was not Lafigido. He was able to save the Benin people. That was the one who gave it to Ogiame. He was then made the leader of the people like an administrator. What was his name again? His son is Ogiame. Anybody knows his name? It starts with an E. Anybody? Mumbo. Anybody? Let me find his name for you guys. It starts with an E. Was the administrator before Ewekabawo. He was the administrator before Ewekabawo. No, it's not Kalatera. He was Evian, and his son was Ogianwe. Evian.
Eweka was a king.
He was Evian, and his son was Ogianwen.
Eweka was a king.
Eweka was a king now.
Was the son of Oduduwa.
Okay. Eweka was a king, right? Eweka was the son of Oduduwa. Sorry, Oromiyo.
That one.
Right? Owomika.
Is a lost case.
Which other name? Ekala that one. That one is a lost 70. It did not exist before 1970. Well, he existed, but not the way they are saying it. He existed. So it was a man who was the son of the last Ogiso.
So that's another story.
Ogiso Wodo.
The point I'm trying to make is
right?
Evian
So that's another story, and we'll talk about that some other time. The point I'm trying to make is Evian. Evian rose because Evian delivered his people from impending danger. Therefore, even though they had no other person to lead their people after Ogiso Wodo, they made him the administrator. And it was after him and his Ogianwen and his children that you now had Oromiyo sent to Benin, and then of course the Yoruba dynasty now started. The point I'm trying to make is that at least they had a hero to work with. You cannot ever blame Benin people for not having a hero. Ogiso or no Ogiso, they had Evian. Your people don't really have that kind of story. That's one. Number two, to have monarchy is also signals it could be warfare, which would be a product of collaborative effort. Because you can't fight by just shouting, you have to talk, you have to strategize, you have to plan. People have to be able to look at a goal that is bigger than them. See, wars are not just fought. There is a vision, there's a goal that they are fighting for. That compelling reason that makes them do that thing is usually what makes them look beyond themselves. Even mercenaries, apart from the fact that yes, for them is money, for some of them is glory. And when it comes to we have become one people, they're not mercenaries here. We're talking about the collective goodwill or the collective interest of everybody. The point is, if you think as a clan, you can never create that kind of thing. That's why you never had armies, by the way. And I'm not mentioning any ethnic group, but Giddy Boy knows what I'm talking about. Because you couldn't see beyond individual glory or individual interest. When you talk about monarchy, having a monarchy it signals a lot of things. If you have a person who's able to say, listen, we are going to fight to claim our town. If you say, wait, I'm not even connected to you by, you know, like your father is my father. How am I going to, there was no Igbo nation, stop deceiving yourself, Daddy.
There's no concept
town of a collective. Everything stops at the clan level. Number three, one of the things that because you're going to have to learn diplomacy, you're going to have to learn tact, you're going to have to learn human relations. You don't need all those things as a clan or guy. Maybe you're just talking amongst yourself. You say you are the oldest person or you are the richest person, which is what some people use in Nigeria. We know, I'm the richest person, you have to listen to me. When you have a monarchy, right, you have to be able to give and take. You know you will lose some, you will gain some. Even though I have to lose some to gain some.
It's a statement of many things. I've mentioned collaborative effort.
Whenever you see kings, it's a statement of many things. I've mentioned collaborative effort. I've mentioned, what's the first one I even mentioned?
Then there is that thing of statecraft.
Interest, overriding interest that is bigger than individual interest. Then there is that thing of statecraft.
How do you carry the clans?
Because within that kingdom, you're still going to have these clans. How do you carry the clans along?
I was thinking about something.
I was thinking about something over the weekend. So myself and my kids we're doing math. I think it was Friday, hexagon, septagon. So I got to a point, I was like, guys, you know that septagon, of course, septagon means 7 side. So one of my boys now said, but September is the 9th month. So I was all like, listen, Sept is 7, and it was the 7th month before it was changed. And they had to put different other months. That's Roman calendar. They had to change something. So Sept is 7, Oct is 8, Non is 9, Deca is 10, and so on and so forth. Nona is 9. And so it was like, so I now said July is named, of course, named for Julius Caesar. August is named for Augustus Caesar. January is for Janus. March is for Mars, the planet. And so after we're doing, it was a quiz, it was a math quiz, so they were asking hexagon and octagon and things like that. So And now I was just thinking about it, like, wait, these guys actually named months after personalities, planetary bodies, right? Those are the kind of things they did. So January is for all deities, planetary bodies, personalities. For the most part, that's what January to December is about. I was just thinking about this thing, and I was like, is there a parallel in our culture? And there is. You know, Yoruba people, we don't have a 7-week month and a 13-month year, right? So for us in Yoruba land, a week is 4 days. That's why you hear people don't pay. Kí ọ̀kan rán mi létí ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ òwe yìí ló máa ń ti rí ọ̀la ọ̀rí bẹ́ẹ̀ ló mú babaláwo dífá ọ̀rọ̀ ọ̀run is weekly divination. In other words, you can't judge tomorrow by what you have today, therefore you have, excuse me, you can't judge. Oh boy, I think we have something. Please, if you're on YouTube, please let me know if it's fine. I'm going to finish what I'm saying. It means that you can't judge. Sorry, guys.
You can't judge tomorrow by today. Therefore, you have the Babalawo has to divine.
You can't judge tomorrow by today. Therefore, the Babalawo has to divine on a weekly basis. You can't just say, oh, because we did something last week, we're good now. But what I'm trying to make is that the Oronu you hear in that proverb speaks of weekly divination. Ondifa Oronu. Latijo, even till today. Táyọ̀ bá lọ sọ́jà, wọ́n máa lọ sọ́jà ní ọ̀rọ̀run ọjọ́ márùn-ún. Ta ló rántí? I mean, if you listen to radio in Ife, you know, say you hear them pé ọjà kíní kan ọjọ́ márùn-ún ni. Lẹ́yìn yẹn, ọjọ́ márùn-ún tó bá tún ti kàn. That's why you notice that if you've ever studied it in Yoruba land, whether it's in àwọn ìletò àbí àwọn ìlú ńlá tí wọ́n máa ń lo rédíò láti polówó ọjọ́ ọjà never falls on the same day. Have you noticed? I'm not using I'm trying to talk to us about us. So Ojoja, thanks for the gifts. Ojoja is not you will never see two Ojojas fall on the same day. It's not possible. Because they don't do 7 days, they do 4 days or 4 days. So for you, Sunday, that's a week. But for Yoruba, it is Ojo Maru. So it's 4 days a week, 7 weeks a month, and then 13 months a year. That will give you 364 days. So a full year in Kojoda is Yoruba calendar. Or Kojoda rather. Kojoda is Yoruba calendar. Our full year is 364 days. By your 28th day, you see the moon. Oshupa kaniye. By the way, Oshu is Oshupa. He is also related to the menstrual period. Or menstruation. Orin kan Oshu. Oshu. So that's the point. Now, what I'm saying is this. The same way we have those days, we also now have months. Those months are dedicated to different deities, just like the Romans did with Julius Caesar, and with August, and with Janus, and with Mars, and so on and so forth. Those parallels make you start seeing, once you start seeing those parallels, you start seeing, you start looking for other things that you can find here and find there. We're talking about kings. The elevation of those people, whether they are humans or events or deities, to represent days and then festivals. So what you are seeing really is this: you are seeing organization, you are seeing Jesus Christ. What's my business with your ethnic group? Whether you have the same or not, it's not my business. Just farabale. You have no heroes. I would my sorrows here. Giddy boy, you know I've been very calm. Let's be calm like this. Let's be calm. Let's be calm. You know, once you start, if you notice what I'm doing, I'm trying not to mention any ethnic group. I'm trying not to. I don't want to make it look as if I'm, you know, downgrading. Just let me talk. God bless you in Jesus' name. Amen. What was I?
Who now had months?
So they will have strong men who became heroes.
They had months.
Who now had months named after them. E.g. Ogun. E.g. Obatala, they had months named after them, not just for fancy kinikon. That is also the time they celebrate those heroes.
So if you don't have that kind of thing in your culture, you will be like, what's the big deal having heroes?
Which takes me back to what I was saying about heroes. So if you don't have that kind of thing in your culture, you will now have leaders of different groups being represented in different things, e.g. festivals. So this particular person is celebrated this, even though there's a king, the king is not threatened by the fact that they're celebrating those people, because he also knows that it gives them a sense of belonging. These are the things that makes your culture sophisticated or civilized. That is why Yoruba people do not say that we got civilization from the white people. As a matter of fact, the reason I always say 1 p.m. Ife time, we meet here every day 1 p.m. Ife time. The reason I say that is because in Yoruba law, in Yoruba norms, we have a saying, we're talking about the source of our radiance, the source of our civilization. And it's not just in Yoruba land, all the way to Benin. They have that saying as well. By the way, somebody talked to me about Benin earlier today. Maybe I'm going to do something on Benin very soon. I mean, I'll read to you how the Oba of Benin will face Ife early in the morning to pray to his ancestors. Why? That's where the day dawns. That's where our civilization is from, and we are all one. At least with the royals, with the Obas. The same thing all over the place. So that concept where you have heroes, you are creating heroes is not because people just wake up one day. It's a product of politicking. Naming months after certain people is not because it's not a spiritual decision, it's a political decision. But if the concept of politics to you is about family, all of us are kings in our homes, you will never be able to attain that kind of thing. You will never be able to build a civilization. You'll never be able to have any army of consequence. You're never able to. You can't trade far because now small, and you also become susceptible to being raided, which is actually the fate of certain groups in Nigeria. They were always raided. Last week I was reading to us the Willings Commission report of 1958, and he mentioned how the Calabar, the Ijaw, and the coastal kings raided a particular ethnic group in Nigeria. One of the reasons that made it, everybody was a king. Everybody was a king. Therefore, we can't have an army. We can't defend ourselves. We become prey to external forces. Someone says to be raided, but the last to fall. This last to fall thing. Let's make something very clear. Today, I'm going to answer it. You have been writing that thing. Two of you have been writing it. I was acting as if I didn't see it. When they tell you that people were fighting against the British, number one,
remember that this was happening in the
I'm not taking anything away from you.
That's where this man is from.
But remember that this was happening in the area that you guys say that that's where this man is from, Nzogu.
That's one. Number two,
Ekumeku did not happen in the hinterlands.
Number two,
that's one. Number two, no, it's part of it, Number two, the composition of the people in that place. I was watching a video of the Asagba last week. The people in that area are a mix of different people, but you guys don't like to hear that. There are folks from the east there. There are folks from Benin there. There are Yoruba people there. There are Igala people there. As a matter of fact, the leaders, the kings of Asaba, the very first one that gave birth to those 5 sons who became the heads of the other groups that later came together. That first person was an Igala man. So Ekumeku War happened, and respect to those people, but it did not happen in the hinterland. It happened in the place, the same area where we will say the Opanam, all those people, the people that you will say they are not Igbo because you don't want to associate with Nzogu. So it's Nzogu Igbo. That's the question to you. But even if he is, the people they are mixed. And the reason they could even create that kind of thing, to be honest, was also because of the influence of different cultures. Left to the culture where they came, where some of them came from, they would have been picked up the same way. Again, I'm trying not to, I'm avoiding some things. The same way the Ikwere people did their thing. the Calabar people did their thing, the the Ijaw people did their thing, the Shekiri people did their thing, the Benin people did their thing. They did that because there was no cohesion. So I said all of this sovereignty to answer the person who says, "Is it just because you have monarchy?" To have a king that could unite different groups 1,000 years ago, it's a huge eternal flex for me. It's a huge eternal flex. To now know that that thing that he did 1,000 years ago was what Azikiwe was trying to do in the 1950s is a bigger flex. To now discover that what he did 1,000 years ago is what Ironsi attempted to implement in 1966 is a huge flex. Because if it meant nothing to them, they would not be trying to do it in 66. And with all due respect, the stupidity in what they did was to force people of different ethnicities together in the name of unity. What the sensible people did 1,000 years ago was to make people of their own group come together. That was what they did. So to have monarchy means that you have moved away from thinking of daily bread. You know, what are we going to eat? Are we going to clothe ourselves? You are thinking of deeper things. You're thinking of politics. You're thinking of statecraft, right? In my part of the world, I'm Yoruba. In my part of the world, they had to think of, we have to ensure that the king had no absolute powers. So when somebody wrote here earlier, we don't bow to no man. The reason you don't bow to no man is because you have an experience of slavery. You have a history. I'm talking to that person particularly. You have a history of slavery. So whenever you stand up, is what happens in America. When people stand up to the police, for the most part, it's not because of anything. They are rebelling against a particular ideal.
I'm not against it.
They are rebelling against their history. They're saying, this is not me. And I'm not against it. You should stand up for whatever. That's why you notice that Nigerians don't usually have problem when they go through. If you tell me to stop the car, I don't, there's no reason to fight for any right. If I'm driving, a policeman stops me. Hello, sir. He looks at me. Most times they allow me to go. Sometimes when they stop me, they ask me for open the kidney, carry from the glove compartment, give them documents. We are good. I'm not proving anything to anybody. I'm not having to say, why are you stopping? Why are you stopping me? That's just nonsense. People that tell you that they cannot bow to anybody, they are rebelling against something in their history. And for the most part, it's slavery. That thing that is standing inside you is not courage.
It's just arrogance built on.
It's not boldness. It's not even self-worth. It's not self-esteem. It's just arrogance built on a need to prove something. That's why if you are driving, wherever you are, if you are driving, you don't have to prove anything to Olokpa. A policeman stops you. Hello, sir. If you have a problem saying hello, sir, to a policeman, why do you have a problem saying hello, sir? Hello, sir. You see the way they even talk to you. They be like, we have a break on YouTube for some reason. I don't know what happened. I hope it fixes up. I think it's back now. That action of standing up and saying, I bow to no one, that action is actually rebellion against a historical past. Now I have autonomy. Now I want to be able to say no. I'm not saying no because I am better. I'm not saying no because I have self. This is about order. Multiplied the 5 loaves and 2 fish. Before he prayed, you know,
Nigeria's problem is not rice and beans.
what was it doing? It was
But if you fix the structure,
Nigeria's problem is not rising. If you fix structure, the problems are still there. I mean, I'm not saying that,
be having national.
But if you fix the structure, with that, also over the entire country, please power tap on TikTok. We have to get this one. Those who are trying to bring it down to win.
YouTube, are you good? Thank you. Let's get this up on TikTok, please. Is YouTube good? Can YouTube please let me know if everything is fine?
Let's get this up on TikTok, please.
Don't try to now talk to people who had it in the past. Show me one example.
That is a fallacy. Show me one society that grew based on clannish mindset and clan politics. Show me one example. I'm giving you 30 seconds. Giddy boy, you said it was fallacy, so please help me. Teach me. Help? Sorry, YouTube, if you can hear me on YouTube, please just say hi, or else I can, maybe we'll start and restart.
You said, what I said is a fallacy. So I'm saying, give me one example.
So seriously, Giddy, I mean, you might just teach me something today. You said, what I said is a fallacy. So I'm saying, give me one example of a society in the world. The highest form of politics for them was clan, and they built, a great society. They had influence. 30 seconds, so.
If you come to me right now and say, China has
Listen,
gunpowder.
If you come to me right now and you say, China had gunpowder and gun. By the way, China invented guns before Europeans took it and used it to scatter everywhere. And you now tell me that Yoruba people did not have that technology at that time. I am not going to start fighting and discredit China and say, please don't stop on TikTok. Let's part. I think it's affecting everything. Thank you very much for your support, and thank you, Oak and Honey. Thank you for helping with all those things. I saw it earlier. Thank you, everyone else. Please let's part up. Let's share. These things actually they help the life. If you tell me that history, I'm not going to start throwing tantrums and telling you that China is not, it doesn't mean anything. What does it mean? Because they have gunpowder and gun, and so what? And so what? Okay, I didn't have it. We developed our own later, shall we? Came up with Shakabula. But that one came later. How do you power tap? By repeatedly tapping on your screen. So essentially you just do this. Like back. This is power tapping. That's what it means to power tap. So please do that. Thank you. Just do it repeatedly. Every time you do it, especially on TikTok, it means you're liking the live itself. On YouTube, just once is enough, and then you see a heart icon down right of your screen, bottom right of your screen, and you can click on that as well to engage on TikTok, on YouTube. Don't go and do it don't do repeatedly on YouTube or come out of puzzle. So I was saying, once you tell me about gunpowder and stuff like that, I'm a Yoruba person, I cannot start telling you that, no, we also created it, I want to prove something. We did not. Are there things we have that China also did? Yes, e.g. terracotta. And I've said it several times. One of the things that got me very interested in archaeology, I didn't study archaeology, but I'm interested in many things, was that I went to my cousin's office, I think it was 2001. Right, in the university, and I went to his office and I saw a paper on the table, and I saw the heads, the terracotta heads. I saw the date, 10th century AD, 11th century AD, 12th century. I was like, Akwetoba Isha, like, have we been around for this long? There's something it does to you. So when I saw terracotta heads in China, terracotta army in China, I was like, we also have. And by the way, terracotta was not the beginning of our own artistic expression in carving. We began with stone. Like stone. Terracotta is also a form of stone, but like stone carving, is what it was before terracotta. Before we now got into bronze or brass. But originally it was stone. So when I see terracotta army in China and I see that in Yoruba, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like we have, that's all. But when you talk about what they have that we didn't have, we didn't create gun like when it. If we did, would have killed all the Oyinbo that came, would have killed all of them. But we didn't have it.
All the copper we use for our
copper, yes, we imported copper. All the copper we use for our not copper. All the brass we use for our brass work, we imported them. And that is a flex. The flex is not that everything is inside my house. I own everything. No, the flex is that as at 9th, 10th, 11th century, you were doing heavy international trade. To the point where you were moving things also out of your region and you were bringing things into your region. They're bringing cotton seeds. It's been found, by the way, archaeology. I love archaeology. Cotton seeds from the 12th century AD. You are seeing bronze. You are seeing the glass beads that were taken out of Ife as well, all the way to the Mediterranean. That's the flex. Not that you possess everything. Anybody who is always shouting, I own this, I own that, they are small-minded people. They just came to the fore last year. At least act like you are also evolving with others. That's the point. We said all of this because of the interesting thing they are trying to do in Lagos. Homecoming that is not home. It's funny. How can you be having? Why do people use homecoming? Ogao. You imported from them where Zambia. Frankie Fex, no. I will respond to humans. You are this close to completing your evolutionary cycle. You haven't. When you are done, I promise to answer you.
Yes, I was talking about homecoming. So you have this homecoming that is not.
Yes, I was talking about homecoming. So you have this homecoming, but homecoming that is not. Please, you mean no harm. No, your question is actually ridiculous. And if you had a sense of geography, which I very much doubt you possess, you notice that the trajectory of trips in terms of trade was northwards. So to bring up Zambia really shows that something's not adding up. We're talking Mali. We're talking Mediterranean. Show more geography. Don't you know geography? Moderator, stop using foul words. This is foul. This is foul, Iroko. I have answers for you, but I will not say anything. You think Portuguese has enough copper to sell? The guy is a distraction. Please ignore him. You think Portuguese has enough copper to sell? We said we bought things. We bought Ide from Mali. Why must whites? What is that? Is that Portuguese? That's the highest understanding of evolution that you know. It must be white. Why must it be Portuguese? How did Portuguese get to Mali? Like, please keep up, eh? Keep up, eh? Because what they did to you is not good, though. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good. But this, by the way, you bought from Mali and you did not buy from Morocco. Yeah. I think your time is up. Your stupidity is, I think, it's going to be communicable disease. I don't want it to spread in this live session. But God bless you. Thank you very much for being here. I'm not blocking you, but I'm going to mute you because you have nothing sensible to type. God bless you. Where was I? I was answering Gide's question. Gide, I hope I answered your question very well. Maji Param, listener of 20th October 1960. Anthony Naro, 12th August 1968, Addis Ababa. What is the third one? Charge on the banks of River Niger, Samajai Crowther, 1866. There are more, but let's stop there for now. Because the deeper I go, I don't want to. Stupidity moderator, stop. Iroko, are you speaking your native language? Because what you're typing doesn't make sense. So.
There's something I was going to share last week. I said I'll do later.
There's something I was going to share last week. I said I'll do it later. Let's do it today. Shay, we're going to go into Samuel Kakatola and Papa on Wednesday, right? I'll do this small introduction later before we go, but I just opened that page. Jesus is Lord. Guys, let's get into this book. This book is called The Educated Elites in Nigeria. Umbo. Yeah.
I promise I didn't plan to do this, but man,
oh God. I promise I didn't even plan to do this today, but man, you're going to like this. I'm going to read a book. Let me find it. I come up alone you. Come on, Shanua. I'm not a real she. Olomojario. Olomojara Lakubao. Makupa Dabolomojario. To come back Kaloni. Muti gbagbe mo ti ka tẹ́lẹ̀ pé máa sọ lọ́jọ́ kan bọ́jọ́ kan ẹ̀ náà ló ní ìbá yẹn sìn. There is a book I'd like to read. It's a place. Okay, I'm at the cross. I believe that I can be only the best in whatever I do. Guaranteed to take the lead. Only the best in whatever I do.
all right.
Guaranteed, yes indeed. All right, I'm going to read this book.
So let me first say something. This book, this man insulted all of us.
So let me first say something. This book, this man insulted all of us in Nigeria, including Yoruba people. So it's what's the word? Equal opportunity for all of us. Equal opportunity boost for everybody. Somebody says this Igbo should thank God you are a Christian.
So I'm not going to lie. I'm Christian.
So I'm not going to lie.
I'm not going to lie.
How you go be Christian now? Why? I'm not going to lie. Being Christian is actually one of the biggest reasons that I speak the way I do. Walai. And I know Walai is not Christian, but Walai to lie, it's not be lie, wasilawa. The only reason I speak the way I speak is because I want to you are broke your mind lower. At my sorrow to that. But let's just thank God. About the follow Oba Joke Aye, Oba Sake Orun. About the follow Oba. Alhamdulillah, Rabbi Alamin. By the way, for those who are saying I'm a Christian, yeah, even with my Alhamdulillah, I'm Yoruba. So that's the beauty of being Yoruba. I'm still a Christian. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Anyway, just thank your stars alone because the ways you guys move. I'm glad the way I do it, because I don't want to, fight anybody. Anyway, let's read. Let's read.
Please, let's not take it for granted because I can also insult. I don't insult.
But please, let's not take it for granted because I can also insult, but I don't insult because it's not necessary. I think it's beneath. That's why I don't even insult. I'll just tell you something. I'll just describe you for yourself. So say if you don't talk about Igbos, where will the traffic come? The one that wants to hit you, Iroko. The one that stopped coming to your shop where you're selling spare parts, is that the traffic you're talking about? You are a fool. But God bless you as you understand your Efulefu ministry. All right, let's get into this. This book is Equal Opportunity Gbasgbos. All of us were dealt with, but I think it's one of the most important. Well, no, let me not put it at that level. It's a very, very important book. If you want to understand why we're where we are in Nigeria, I talked about Yoruba people, our errors, the mistakes we made, what politicians should have done. And when we talk about Papa and Akintola on Wednesday, I'm going to highlight some of the things I thought Papa did, where some of the gaps were, and also to remind us that because he made those, by the way, heroes are not heroes because they made no mistakes. Okay? Our Orishas are Orishas, regardless of whatever. I mean, it's not about perfection. It's about contribution, right? They contributed to society, they contributed to humanity, and so they became Orisha. So, Papa did all the things he did. So he's not Orisha today. By the way, I call him Orisha. I mean, he is, for all intents and purposes. By the way, there's a gentleman here who has always asked me to play Awo Me by Ogunde. If you're here, please let me know. I promise to play that thing on Wednesday, but please just remind me. And I apologize for not playing it earlier. I'm going to play Awo Me more. That was when Ogunde was calling Papa Ajagumale. In other words, so he is a great man. His ideology is here with us. His spirit is here with us. But certain tactics that we have now worked on, that we're able to make better, are the things that we're going to get into on Wednesday. Also, some of the things that we say about Akintola, some of the things that we say, they're not right. So sometimes, like for me, my father adored Papa, right? My father adored him. He had, if for nothing, of course, this wasn't the only thing. I grew up seeing image. Think about it, for instance. This is actually weird. I've never thought about it the way I'm about to say it right now. I grew up seeing this photograph, right? I think I probably still have it, of the court proceedings, 1963. My father had those photographs. Not of the court though. So they made almanacs and made, pictures, right, with the names of the people that were taken to prison and then the details of what happened to them, just like putting something on Instagram today, right? My dad bought it maybe in 1963, right? We grew up with Tribune every day. Tribune was established by Papa in 1949. He's the oldest surviving newspaper in Nigeria today. He's 75. It's going to be 76 this year, right? So I was surrounded growing up. Even when we read Sketch, you still have to remember that Sketch cannot be detached from Awo because that's Odua Republic. Sorry, that's Odua. Did I just say Odua Republic? That's Odua Investment Limited. So that's how much I adore him. And of course, if you know me, you would know that I adore, not just love, but literally reverence Awo. If he's an object of worship, not object of worship, but in terms of anything on Warifu. But I think because of that, sometimes anybody who went against him, we tend to think that they are terrible humans, or they are demons, or they are devils and things like that. And in some instances, we would be right. E.g., the people that stopped, let me not say it's not good. Anyway, some people are downright terrible human beings. They're not demons, but they are terrible people. People that would very, very, clannish people, and people that are very selfish, and they would drive agenda just for the ethnic group, and then they will shout that they are Pan-African or Pan-Nigerian. Those clowns. Those ones, issues. But they're not even demons. But amongst ourselves as Yoruba people, we tend to think anybody that went against him was a demon. And it's not always like that, right? There are certain things that Akintola said that were actually right? There are some things that he also said that were very wrong. So when we get to that on Wednesday, we're going to go into the details of the things that he did. But I'm saying that because I also want to make something very clear. So over the weekend, I was talking to somebody Oro Adebi Oro Adeoke Adelabu, and the person was like, oh yeah, you know, NCNC, one shaking against our. And I think one even. When I brought up the name of former governor of Oyo State, Omololu Olunloyo, who said he used to go to Okebola, go to the house, right? But it was an NCNC. So we have to get to the point where when we have these conversations, whilst of course I worship the ground that I will tread. Like, I can't. It's difficult to speak of him. Just like my father, I can't speak of him in past tense. Like that's kind of adoration. But even then, there were certain missteps, you know, that we'll get into on Wednesday. I said all of that to say that this book is also a very good introduction into that, because it mentions some of the mistakes that our own leaders made. And the point is not to say, I want Mogokon, is to learn from the errors. And one person who has learned from their mistakes is the present president of Nigeria. One major thing that Papa did not do after the 1950s, one major thing that Papa did not do was working with Northern establishment. He worked with the North. He worked with the North, but he didn't work with the Northern establishment. So he worked with people like Joseph Taka in the Middle Belt, people like Aminu Kano, Nepo, Northern Elements, people, Progressive Union, you know, but not with the establishment. And that was the mistake that also affected us greatly. And he had his reasons. We'll talk about all of that on Wednesday. Why didn't he work with the establishment?
What made him stop? Why didn't they do those things?
By the way, did he ever work with the establishment? What made him stop? Why didn't they do those things? He was unable to nationalize. He actually nationalized it. Oh, he did. You know, let me say something. I want to say this. I hope I remember. I'm going to read to you on Wednesday something from a book called Adventures in Power. That will be volume 2. Travails of Democracy, where it talked about the campaign in the North. The North was brutal. People were killed. That's everybody. Oroniko. That was the first time the Sardauna campaigned. He never did before then, because he was a prince. Sardauna is a direct descendant of Usman Danfodio. He's a great-grandson of Sultan Bello. So he had this thing about him, this courage. Even till he died, if you went to his house, you couldn't stand or sit. You sat on the floor. You couldn't sit on a chair. You sat on the floor. He was a prince, you know. So he considered those things infradig. He wouldn't go out, you know, to campaign. It was Awo's work in the North that forced the Sardauna to campaign. We'll get into all of those things on Wednesday. I hope I remember that bit. But we'll get into that on Wednesday. How Papa got to the North, what happened. They spread, actually. But it was anti the establishment. And that's what the problem was. We'll talk about that later. Now to today's stuff. Somebody says somebody wants to speak on what I've been saying. Oriola, are you the one? If you're the one, please send your request. Then you'll probably be the only person that will speak, because we're moving into something else. But I apologize. Other people will speak after. So if Oriola sends a request, it can come up now. If not, we'll still speak. There'll be opportunities to bring everybody up very soon. Are we good? Kitty Boy wants to speak. Observer says God spoke through you, Oodua Republic. I don't think it's a bad idea, by the way. I think it's a beautiful thing. Right? I think some people especially on YouTube, maybe they don't understand me. When I said what I said last week, they thought I was against Yoruba people being alone. I'm not against Yoruba people being alone. I'm just against the idea that we cannot do anything good without being alone. I think that is a defeatist mindset. But it's not that I hate the idea of being alone. I think there's nothing, Atoshe. Atogbagbasulo, yeah. Atoshe.
we also have to be very careful of the
Atoshe, Atoda Ilutiwani, Atoshe, Shubon, we also have to be very careful of the mindset that you cannot make any progress until you do this thing. That thing, the thing they are encouraging people, that's the rhetoric that caused what's happening in the Southeast. That's the reason they have what's happening right now. We must do this in order to get that done. See where they are right now. So for me, it's not about Atoshe, Tabashe Shoma work, Baje. Ṣùgbọ́n ọ̀nà ọ̀nà fẹ́ gbà ṣe ọmọ mo ti ka oríṣiríṣi nǹkan èmi náà mi ṣe kó máa mọ̀ ọ̀kan púpọ̀ náà kéékèèké tá à ń ka ẹ̀ náà bọ́ ṣe rí be careful with a vision that has no plan. It's not even a vision, it's not even a goal, a dream without a plan. A dream without a plan that is shared as though it's the only panacea to every problem you are facing. Be careful. And the person who is doing it is not doing it because he's a bad person or he's a good person. But ọ̀nà wa gbọ́dọ̀ yàtọ̀ sí ọ̀nà jàgídíjàgan àbọ̀ náà pé tá a bá ṣe báyìí kò lè ṣẹlẹ̀ báyìí ó lè ṣẹlẹ̀. Ó ní news kan tó yẹ kí n kà lẹ́ẹ̀kan SWDC Southwest Development Commission, there is something they are working on. We'll talk about it some other time. Nǹkan tá a fẹ́ yẹn a máa gbà ṣùgbọ́n ọ̀nà tá a máa gbà they will not see it coming. Ṣé mo rin Àṣàkẹ́? They never see me coming. Ibi tí yìí wà nìyẹn. But yeah, it won't be a bad idea to have a separate place. But right while we are where we are right now, we've got to engage, we've got to do things the right way and not go to the extremes. And that's what I was trying to say. I hope I explained myself to those who were trying to fight me on YouTube. My comment section on YouTube sometimes is just very interesting. Meanwhile, please engage. Watch the videos on YouTube, share them. If you think there's anything you want me to talk about, please let me know. As we go on, we'll have conversations. Also, we have membership on YouTube right now, so you can join and support what we're doing. And those who have given us gifts since we started, thank you very much for your generosity. What else especially on TikTok? I've not seen anyone on YouTube today, but I hope you guys do something. Regardless, the fact that you are here is a blessing. So thank you for being here, and thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. All right, now let's go into the book. So the book I was talking about is The Educated Elite in the Nigerian Society. It's a book written by E.B. Ayodele.
It was published in 1974.
It was published in 1974. E.B. Ayodele, the professor of history and principal of the University of Ibadan, Jos campus, 1974. Fantastic book, but we're not reading everything, all right? We're just going to go straight to a chapter called Windsors.
So let's start with a speech by Tafawa Balewa, and then we'll just move on. It's going to be a long ride.
So let's start with a speech by Tafawa Balewa, and then we'll just move on. It's going to be a long ride, so I'm glad where we're starting. I'm glad that we're starting now. All right, let's get into this.
The forthright language of the North Golden Voice, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa,
in the forthright language of the North Golden Voice, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, in the Legislative Council in 1947, I think 1947 will always stand as a very important year in the history of Nigeria. Since the amalgamation of the southern and northern provinces in 1914, Nigeria has existed as one country only on paper. It is still far from being united. The country is inhabited by peoples and tribes who speak different languages, who have different religions, different customs and traditions, and entirely different historical backgrounds in their ways of life, and who have also attained different stages of development. See that last line? I love it. Why? The man knows what he's talking about. We were not, and we still are not at the same stage of development. But we're one country. We should be thinking about these things. That unity that makes you think that somebody like the rednecks is exactly like a New Yorker is not unity, is delusion. That's the problem of Nigeria. A redneck tells a New Yorker that they have the same understanding of life, and that they are both citizens and therefore they are the same. You are not. Anyway, that's Tafawa Balewa. It says we have different religions, different customs and traditions, and entirely different historical backgrounds in their ways of life, and who have also attained different stages of development. We would like the world to know that in the northern provinces, we have got our own leaders whom we have chosen ourselves to be our rulers and voices. We do not want, sir, our southern neighbors to interfere in our development. If the southern people feel they are representatives for what they are agitating for and demanding, well, they must know that the case of the northern provinces is different. But I should like to make it clear that if the British quit Nigeria now, at this stage, the northern people would continue their interrupted conquest to the sea. That's from Mbeyi Collections, the Nigeria-Biafra conflict. Whilst the educated elite in the north were becoming frightened at the prospect of imperialism from the south, their counterparts in the south had introduced violence into the political scene, a phenomenon that was to culminate in the Civil War of 1966 to 1970. At first, and this had become prominent in the 30s, it was verbal violence. If you've been here before, you've heard me read what happened in the 1930s, especially from 1938. And the instigator was, anybody in the comment section can help us, please. Verbal violence, using the press to attack people, talking about ethnic supremacy, started in 1938. I mean, it started before then, but as far as publishing is concerned, it started in 1938. And the person who started it, anybody can help us in the comment section, please. Zig, yes. Mombo. Yes, Zig. It was Zig. Having started his newspaper in 1937, West African Pilot decided to use it to empower his people and lift it, and make them like the superior ethnicity in Nigeria. This started in 1938. He started his paper in 1937. The first 1 year, I guess, was looking at the ground. On Wole. That's Yoruba English, which I'm proud of. 38 was when he went full steam, or head on. So he says, at first, and this had become prominent in the 30s, it was verbal violence directed not only at the colonial masters, but at themselves. By the way, to be fair, there was a kind of verbal violence that was also directed by Herbert Macaulay towards everybody. He did not do ethnicity versus ethnicity. He just insulted everybody. As far as it was concerned, anybody that was close to the colonialists were called imperialist agents. Of course, by the time Zeke came on board, he started calling them imperialist stooges, Uncle Toms, Auntie Jemimas, and so on and so forth. Also, this whole thing went physical when Zeke began to write in his paper that the Egomodua should be attacked, and this was in 1948. 1948, this was the aftermath of the Lagos Press War, right? September 48, Zeke published that the Yoruba people that were leading Egomodua, they should be attacked in their homes, and they were attacked. We'll talk about that in a bit. Excuse me. Let's go on. At first, and this had become prominent in 30s, it was verbal violence directed not only at the colonial masters but at themselves. As the 40s dissolved into the 50s and tribal and region-centered political parties emerged, the verbal missiles which the leaders hurled at one another increased in size and effects. And the nearer the day of political withdrawal by the British, the fiercer the personal rivalries and the violence and virulence of the language. And the political leaders employed against, the fiercer the personal rivalries and the violence hey, Jesus. The nearer the day of political withdrawal by the British, the fiercer the personal rivalries and the violence and virulence of the language of the political leaders employed against one another. The greater the blind and extremist followership gathered around the political leaders, the greater the hostility and hatred of individuals for political rivals and opponents. It was such incongruous, incompatible, quarrelsome, tribalistic, disorderly, but fiercely politically ambitious individuals that the British decided to cajole to come together. in the south, the sharp division between the, this must be French, Benny Hui, yes, yes, man, I guess, collaborators and the so-called oui, oui is French now. So it's Benny oui. What does that mean? Anybody speaks French? Benny oui. What's Benny? I know oui is yes.
Nobody speaks French here. Don't fall my hand now. Some of you are living in France. Some of you are living in Canada. Anybody in...
Nobody speaks French here. Don't fall my hand now. Some of you are living in France. Some of you are living in Canada. Anybody in Quebec? My people are English speaking Oyibo people. Let's go back to our Oyibo Ngbanyo. So it's in the south, the sharp division between the Benny Wee collaborators and the so-called, I know Wee, I'm saying Benny, B-E-N-I. What does it mean? I know Wee is yes. What does Benny mean in French? Any French person, Benny is Yoruba, where is yes?
Where did I find you?
Where did I find you?
I respect everybody. Respect the way they come this life, I only go here. How can the bed be Yoruba?
I respect everybody. Because can't be where they come this life, I only God help me. How can the bed be Yoruba and the wee is French? All right. I think it's about, when I saw the wee collaborators, it must mean yes, man. Somebody says Selomo. Selomo. That's is this guy now?
Fouls into the conversation.
Fouls. Selomo. How did you now bring fouls into the conversation? It is well with you. Let's get back to French. Let's see French alone. We shall know wee is yes. So it says in the south, the sharp division between the Benny wee collaborators and the so-called nationalist collaborators are degenerated in the 40s to intertribal rivalry between the Igbo and the Yoruba. Among the Yoruba themselves, serious internal division had by 1948 occurred in the Egbe Omodudua between the Pan-Yoruba, Obafemi Awolowo, and a few spiteful Lagos-based key people who believed that they were the more secretary of the organization. Again, let me also quickly, Yoruba, I will explain. The real issue is, somebody say Benny is good, Benny is fine. Okay, thank you. Egbe Omodudua was actually supposed to address a particular issue, and it was the issue of disunity amongst Yoruba people in the by the 1940s, of course, which was also a direct product of the wars we fought amongst ourselves, whether it was the Imagbon War, which was the Anglo-Ijebu War, which split different Yoruba groups at the time, or it was the Kiriji War, which started even before the Imagbon War. We had lots of intertribal issues amongst ourselves. And so the Egbe Omodudua was supposed to help us with that, but certain people in Lagos also started having issues. For instance, it was those people that Azikwe was able to convince to create what they call the Yoruba Federal Union, as an alternative to the one that Yoruba people created for themselves, which is Egbe Omodudua. Which is why I said that we will always have a group of Yoruba people who is that thing they have more sense than the rest of the people, or they have something to gain, or they just pander because they don't want to be left behind by their neighbors, or they want to be seen as sophisticated. Meanwhile, all of these things actually shows naivety, or for the most part, not too much wisdom. Without saying what it really is, you get the point. The thing is that you always have a group of Yoruba people like that, right, who would want to, just for the sake of for instance, with this whole thing that's happening. By the way, I go history and present day, so it helps us understand what's happening on Twitter with the lady who is saying Owambe and misspelling and saying Lagos culture, who is for some reason incapable of acknowledging that it's Yoruba culture. There are Yoruba people who are supporting that person right now and saying, why is it? Now, I know if it's too much, maybe you are cursing people out, like that one is unnecessary because you can make your point without that. But forget that. The real core of the issue, you're making it look as if there's nothing there. Doesn't really matter now. We're not all one Nigeria. Are you not thinking? So you always have people like that amongst us, and they are the weak points in our chains. They're always there, but we have a way of dealing with them. By the way, not violently. All right. So back to the book. Among the Yoruba themselves, serious internal division by 1948 occurred in the Egbe Moduduwa between the Pan-Yoruba, Obafemi Awolowo, and a few spiteful Lagos-based key people who believed that they were the more authentic Yoruba. Some other people say that the more authentic Yoruba now. And frowned at an Ijebu being secretary of the organization. Flabbergasted by the behavior of the British government, who in 1950 began to ask the educated elite from all over the country to deliberate together as political leaders with a common goal, Walter Miller, perhaps the most outspoken but ardently well-meaning missionary commentator and controversialist in Nigeria in the first half of this century, was cocksure that the educated elite leaders were playing with fire, that they were an incompatible lot with different motives, different purposes, different visions, different ideologies, that their marriage of convenience would lead Nigeria to civil war. When was this? 1950. Was it right? Absolutely. As recorded by this exuberant Christian fanatic before his death in 1952 in an unpublished manuscript titled Nigeria, a Dominion in 1965, a Fantasy, strives between an infinite number of parties, tribes, and divisions were practically certain. The breakdown of all order with resulting chaos of all the internal economy of the country of Nigeria seemed to us a dead certainty. We saw no real outstanding leaders, men of sufficient ability and outstanding probity. Of course, much earlier than Miller had imagined, Nigeria became a dominion, but precisely given more say and more way in the government of Nigeria.
They had begun to show that in their lifestyle, they would out-Herod.
They had begun to show that in their lifestyle, they would out-Herod Herod. The politicians among them were indicating that they more than coveted the protocols of obeisance which the British governors and lieutenant governors had been enjoying. The civil servants had their eyes on the newly revised high salaries which the British servants had been earning and the prestige attached to the newly created post. They all had their eyes on the extravagant privileges which they were ultimately to claim as prescriptive rights. They were anxious to excel their British overlords in these matters. Consequently, from the early 50s, when the educated elite political leaders began to participate in the government of Nigeria, it became possible for the educated elite, particularly those in politics, to acquire wealth and lead a style of life quite fantastic and unexampled in the social history of Nigeria. This new style and affluence, blithely described by some of them as life more abundant, saw them transformed into owners of enormous landed property, strings of houses built with concrete and extravagant taste, glittering expensive cars, and enormous wardrobes of voluminous clothes. And concomitant with the material wealth was political power, which threatened forever the prerogatives and power of the so-called natural rulers, in whose eyes literally a social and political revolution had occurred.
Naturally, in order to retain and increase their newfound privileges and economic power, the educated elite left no stone unturned. The result was the introduction of a new form of moral and ethical pollution, which, as the various commissions of inquiries have revealed, have infected a large number of Nigerians. It became common belief that politics was everything, was a lever to power, the open sesame to fantastic wealth, the instrument to gain power over enemies. In their scramble for the spoils, the so-called national cake, the educated elite, unleashed on one another personal animosities. Such animosities were first unleashed at the regional levels and then carried to the local councils. Literally, Kwame Nkrumah's slogan, "Seek ye first the political kingdom," and all other things shall be added unto you, became the maxim. By the way, there was an interview where Lee Kuan Yew was referring to this exact quote that Kwame Nkrumah put on one statue in Ghana, and he said it was almost blasphemous. Seek ye first the political kingdom, and all other things shall be added unto you. It was at this point that the educated elite revealed in bold relief that, as the Yoruba would say, they were an edifice built with sputum, which must collapse at the fall of mist. More by facts of history and circumstances beyond their control than by choice, the educated elite became politicians rather than statesmen. Their instincts for survival in the state of their factiousness and personal rivalries dictated that they should be astute politicians in response to historical pre-colonial and colonial rivalries and tensions at local, regional, and national levels. Thus, the thief politician who wanted to ride on the crest of popular wave must keep alive the pre-colonial fact of anti-Fulani Hausa feelings prevalent in thief land. Thus, the Ibadan politician who wanted to live... I'm sorry, this thing is going off and on. The Ibadan politician who wanted to... One second, please. The politician who wanted to live well in the hearts of the indigenous people should dwell on the pre-colonial Ibadan-Ijebu tension. The Ibadan politician who wanted to live well in the hearts of the indigenous people should dwell on the pre-colonial Ibadan-Ijebu tension, as intensified by the colonial regime that allowed the Ijebu to shift the economic frontier right into Ibadan city. Thus, the Onitsha Igbo, who wanted to be a favorite of his people, must emphasize the threat of the non-Onitsha Igbo settlers to indigenous control of the local administration in Onitsha. It was such feuds, rather than considerations about factors of modernization, that determined the style of politics of the educated elite. With such people, neither the Westminster model of parliamentary government nor the British notion that politics should be depersonalized and violence-free was relevant. Hence, the manner in which, within years, they parodied ill-digested and patently unsuitable for Nigeria Westminster-type parliamentary type of government. Intent on retaining power at all hazards, the group of educated elite in power began to treat their rivals like criminals. In order to achieve this end, the politicians in power enlisted the blind support of the ordinary people, whom they inoculated with criminal disposition. For in the way in which the parties were organized, in which the innocently ignorant masses were exploited with the crumbs from the master's table, debasing tactics were used by whichever party was in power to confound or weaken or paralyze the opposition. Charges were trumped up. Elections were arranged. Ballot pregnancies appeared on election days, and in some areas, secret courts were used to compel allegiance to particular political parties. Morality was obliterated from the Nigerian political scene. By the 50s, violence had ceased to be merely verbal. It had assumed It had assumed the physical aspect. Physical elimination of political enemies was not only deemed desirable, but began to be contemplated and attempted. In other words, respect for human dignity and life began to cease to exist. From 1959 onwards, thuggery became a commonplace word in the political vocabulary of Nigerians. 1 second, please. Let me quickly change the audio source so that we can have a smooth session. And while we're doing that, if you have any question, well, this is probably going to take me just like 1 minute. So, but if you have a question, I might answer.
There's a lag on TikTok. Please, let's power tap.
Please, there's a lag on TikTok. Please, let's power tap.
Oh, somebody asked a question. It says, what's the claim?
Oh, somebody asked a question. It says, what's the claim that the Igbos caught up with Yorubas in education? Is that true? No. I will explain. Just give me a second. All right. All right, so let me quickly answer that question. So one of the major problems with educated Igbos was that they knew that they had a group that was above them, but they hated that fact. So for many of them, in the 60s and 70s, when they created certain things, I won't go direct. When they created certain things in the eastern region, they'll call it second to none, because they know that they're second to somebody. To be second to none already shows that there's a first somewhere. And in order to boost their ego, they always say things like, we've caught up, we've done it. So please let me be sure. Is the audio synced? Is it in sync? Are we good? Just want to be sure so that there's no lag. Share was synchronized. Okay, thank you. So they're always trying to use Yoruba to measure up, which is not bad. Thank you for the response. Thank you for the feedback. Thanks a lot. They always use Yoruba as, to measure up, which is not bad. The problem is that at some point in their history, they started, propaganda was something that Azikwe introduced into the Nigerian political space in the 1930s, but I think the Igbos actually took everything. And that claim that you just wrote in the comment section actually came from Chinua Achebe. He wrote it in a book called The Trouble with Nigeria. It's here, but I don't want to change any books now. I don't want to read anything. Excuse me. He wrote it in that book when he said there was a time that in a single burst of energy, they caught up with Yoruba people. It didn't happen. Is it true that they had a lot of people going to school, that the enrollment increased? Yes. But was there a catching up? No. The number of kids that, let me tell you what our elders did, which is also what I advise that we do. I'll quickly do that. Guys, I apologize for this. I know it's a break, but I'm answering a person's question, and it will not be fair to, since I've started, let me just finish it. I'll take a second, a moment. What the elders used to do is this. They will look at where we were and compare it with where we are. If we have made progress, then they acknowledge that as success. It's not about where we are compared to where another group is. If you do that, you are deceiving yourself, especially if you don't even have groups that are doing anything better like that in Nigeria. With all due respect, it is well with all of us, but this is what Yoruba people use. Let me quickly read something to you. They will say things like, there was a huge increase in primary school enrollment in 1956 of 77.7%. And this shot up the figures of pupil enrollment from 42,952 in 1953 to 1,037,388 by 1959. That's how Yoruba people used to measure success. This is what we did 5 years ago. This is where we are right now. Look at the gap. That means we have made progress. We have to now build on it. Not that what we are doing, but the Igbo's idea, and again, I'm not talking to all the people. I'm just saying that your educated elite, this is how they think, and this is what they written in their books, and we have those books. And I'm starting with Achebe. Achebe said it in The Trouble with Nigeria, and then he repeated it in There Was a Country. There's always that need to prove that they're at the same level, because so you have to tell your guy, we are the same. Co-necessary. It's not necessary. So no, that's just a joke. But who cares? Even if they did. God bless everybody. Back to the book. It was at the national level that the factiousness of the educated elite and their inability to depersonalize politics or operate the Westminster model parliamentary government were most prominently displayed, creating the crisis that eventually assumed a physical form. Insofar as the crisis can be reduced to a denominator, that denominator is tribalism. It was upon the rock of tribalism that the First Republic founded. And whilst the military, a branch of the educated elite currently in power, have been doing a great deal to neutralize the tribal factor, thanks largely to the creation of states, it is my considered view that for some time to come, until the Nigerian nation begins to evolve, tribalism will remain in Nigeria a potent centrifugal force and a veritable challenge to statesmanship. From 1960, Chile, I think can't you stop yourself? From 1960 to 1966, from 1960 to 1966, within each region, and in some places determined allegiance to political parties. Within each electoral unit, traditional feuds were revived, and sometimes this determined allegiance to political parties. Within the country, allegiance was geographically to the party founded around the largest ethnic group in each region. In the States today, the Hydra-headed tribalism has ominously reared up its head. I believe that what they are complaining about as tribalism would not be there if you create a structure that factors that in to it. A major problem that Nigeria has is the assumption that we can create anything and that everybody will be okay with it. We don't care about what the people want. We don't care about the realities of the people. We just assume that we know what's best and we just do it like this. Oh my yewa. And sometimes it works. But in terms of structures, it's not going to work. There's nothing on earth that will make me lose my heritage for Nigeria. Meanwhile, I take Nigeria to be very, very important to me. In other words, I don't have to do one or the other. I can be Yoruba and Nigerian. Those who complain of tribalism are those who tell you that just be Nigerian. And I'm like, why? Why? Why can't I be both? Right? And why don't you think that my being Yoruba is actually a plus for Nigeria? And by the way, it's a huge plus for Nigeria. Being Yoruba is a plus for Nigeria. And that's why you can be both and be proud and not feel like a tribalist. And I'm stopping to say that because most of the things that this man calls tribalism, in some cases, is similar to what some people call tribalism today. If you prefer yours, you are a tribalist. If you say, for instance, Yoruba people have to determine what happens in Yoruba and you're a tribalist, it is the assumption that Nigeria is a nation. It's not. What's the Yoruba word for nation? We're going back to this book. We're going to have a fantastic time. I'm about to get to the deep end. We'll get there very soon. What's the Yoruba word for nation? Anybody can help us, please? Anyone, please? Let's do some interactive stuff. What's Yoruba word for nation? Shame got me. Orile-ede, Eshe, Orile-ede. There are two words that make up Orile-ede. Iran is generation. Orile-ede. There are two words. There's Orile, there's Ede. Nigeria ní kankan méjì. Nigeria ní kankan méjì. Kò sí èdè kankan tá lè pè lóde Nigeria. And I think that's one of the major problems people had in the First Republic and people are still having today. Nigeria is a collection of nations. And that is not a minus. It's a plus. If we know how to manage it. We don't have to always shout, we must be one with tribalism, we must be clinical. We are different. And even this man said it, different ideologies, different visions, different this, different that. Some people want to destroy everybody to be able to make what they consider to be progress. I don't care about your downfall. I want you to win as I win. But of course I care more about my own people, which is supposed to be the sensible way to think. But some people don't think that way. I don't have to force you not to think that way. If that is how your deity, your Eleda, your God made you, that's fine. But it must not affect me. So what does that mean? You create a structure where the person who is a thief can steal, but can only steal something from his family members. He cannot come to my house. There's a wall. We cannot live in the same estate too. I'm not saying that we have to break the estate down. I'm just saying that he must be kept within his place to be stealing. And if he crosses to my house to steal, he will be dealt with. And in your life, you cannot say it's because of tribalism. That's the point. That structure must acknowledge our differences, not act as though it doesn't exist and say, we'll grow into it. There's nothing to grow into. We are many nations in one. And thank God for an anthem. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Our tribes and tongues are many. And it is not a minus, it's a plus. Only people are shouting tribalism, that's their business. But let's continue. In their scramble for political power, the educated elite gave priority to their personal clashes and division in their ranks. If you notice, he's not mentioning anybody directly after he has talked about Tafawa Balewa. We're going to go deeper into some names very soon. Like I said, even my own papa, he collected, but it's okay, right? In their scramble for political power, the educated elite gave priority to their personal clashes and division in their ranks, to the point that these determined their membership of political organizations. They did not divide along professional or occupational lines, nor on ideological lines either. Across ethnic frontiers, they shared common cultural and occupational lives. None preached a return to traditional culture per se. None of them exploited cultural differences as such in concrete terms. By 1960, there was little or no ideological difference between the political parties in matters of economic development, social programs, and the vision for Nigeria. I disagree. There were. And that's why you discover that the trajectory of the AG was different. We decided in 55 and took all the way to the end of the Republic in 66. They also started again in 79 under UPN, and that's why you have free education in all the UPN states. In Oyo, in Lagos, in Ogun, in Ondo, and in Bendel. That's what's happening right now. But let's go on. I think we have a little issue on YouTube. Please, on TikTok, this thing is because of us. We're not power tapping. So it's affecting our stream. Please, power tap. Help the other platforms, helps even us as well. It helps the other platforms, helps even us as well. All right. I just want to be sure that YouTube is fine. By 1960, there was little or no ideological difference between the political parties and the mass economic development, social programs, and the vision for Nigeria. Where were we? By 1960, there was little or no ideological difference between the political parties, the masses of economic development, social programs, and the vision for Nigeria. They were all committed to modernization, and for once, throughout the Federation, they began to initiate and sponsor generously social schemes designed to improve the lot of the masses. And the latter, already convinced that knowledge was power and wealth, began to look upon their elected representatives to provide amenities to an extent far beyond the resources of government. For the first time since their appearance on the Nigerian scene, the educated elite established an effective rapport with the masses from whom themselves derived. Please, on TikTok, we really have to get this thing up. It's actually affecting what we're doing, please. No, me, I go talk, but please let me do this. Tap on the screen. Now, how they designed the app with that, so please help me. Thank you. Henceforth, there was a community of interest between the masses and the educated elite. The former being made to participate in elections to the various legislatures and in local government. Rather than being descendants of the Saro or concentrated in Lagos or Old Calabar, the educated elite began to be spread all over the country, though most unevenly, and they derived from the localities. The masses now could have that of the British, for that of their British predecessors, and certainly a more welcome state of affairs than the rule of the so-called natural rulers. Whenever you hear natural rulers here, it's talking about the kings. And let me quickly say something. The natural rulers were good in Yoruba land until the British arrived. Is actually how Yoruba society is structured. It's not true.
The Obas should not be determined by the politician. I'm like, you don't understand how.
So because somebody was saying that, you know, the Obas should not be determined by the politician. I'm like, you don't understand how crazy it got. Because the local hold or the local checks that the Obas had were removed when the British introduced the indirect rule system, and they became the checks to the Oba, and they didn't mind as long as it didn't affect taxes. It did not affect the things that law and order. The king could do anything he wanted to do. And the people or the institutions that should have provided checks and balances, nobody really cared for them. E.g., Ogboni, we think of them as secret society. But back in the day, they were seen in society, they were known, they had a function, they had a role. And that role included checking the king's excesses. And with the British coming, these guys just, not guys, some of the kings, not all, some of the kings just went overboard.
Our own people.
And so by the time the Oyinbos left, our own people, the politicians, became the ones who took over what the Oyinbos were doing, and the people preferred them to their kings because the kings had gone to the extreme because of the Oyinbo. So when he says here that the educated elite became a substitute, an effective substitute for the British predecessor, and that the people welcome the state of affairs than the rule of the so-called natural rulers, is because of that. In very many areas too, an effective rapport was established with the Obas and Emirs, the latter recognizing their new masters, and the educated elite themselves sharing royalty by the purchase of chieftaincy titles. That happened in Yoruba land. It should have been to the eternal credit of the educated elite as they consolidated their sociological achievement with political maturity by de-emphasizing personal rivalry. It's because of what it means to most Nigerians. Anybody understand what I'm saying? So I don't have a problem with Nigerianism or pan-Nigerianism, but what it means today is erasure for Yoruba people. Unless, of course, it is defined as it really is, that we are all one Nigeria, we can grow. But everybody has boundaries when they move, especially when they move out of their own regions. That has to be known. Nigeria is not an open space. Nigeria is not a melting pot. It's a salad bowl. There are different groups, different vegetables in the bowl. You can pick the cucumber and pick the cabbage and lettuce, and you can pick the different vegetables. It's not a pot of stew. Everybody is just mixed. We are not mixed, but we're in the same bowl, and it's okay to be in the same bowl. You don't have to break the bowl, but you don't have to tell carrots that it must be blended with spinach for you to feel that it is one. Our oneness is in the bowl, not in melting or in grinding. Get the point? Unfortunately, they use their competition for wealth and power to fan ethnic hostility. Far more than has been revealed so far by political scientists, the political leaders of the First Republic, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Obafemi Awolowo, and Ahmadu Bello, were respectively conscious and astute purveyors and exploiters of defensively aggressive Igbo, Yoruba, and Hausa Fulani nationalism. Thus, whilst the nucleus of the Igbo State Union had been founded in Calabar in 1936, that is a year before his return from a self-imposed exile in the Gold Coast, Nnamdi Azikiwe became the symbol of a truly menacing Igbo ethnomania. So he did what I would not do. I'm not going to throw Awolowo under the bus in order to make a point. And I think a lot of us do this thing. I want to insult everybody. I must now insult Awolowo so it doesn't look like I'm insulting only one person. Okay? It's okay, Sha, but let's continue. So who will be holding or controlling the bowl? Nobody else will hold or control the bowl. Those inside the bowl can determine how it is controlled. You don't have to hold it. It's already placed where it should be. Your job is to find your place within the bowl and not to tell other people to melt and become like you. And those who manage that bowl are the ones we choose to lead us. That allows the cabbage to be cabbage, allows the carrots to be carrots, and gives sense to the cucumber that when you move from this cucumber arena into the carrot space, don't go and tell the carrot that they should be like you. If you are so good, why are you in my space as carrot? That means we don't need one president. If you like, we can have 20,000 presidents. I don't care. The point is that we must have structures that understand whatever that means. I know what it means to me, and we can discuss that. By the way, it's been discussed. I don't even like to discuss it, and I'll tell you why. Because they've been discussing it forever. Premiers. Why do you need? I mean, we have 36 what we have right now is like 36 premiers. The only difference, well, not the only, the major difference between these 36 premiers and the 3 that we had originally is the fact that all these 36 premiers, minus 1 or 2, they all must collect something from the federal government.
Why? I don't have a right to the oil.
Why? Because we are one Nigeria. Why?
I mean, there's oil in Ondo State.
Why? I don't have a right to the oil in Niger Delta. I mean, there's oil in Ondo State, thank God. There's oil in Lagos State. There's oil in Ogun State. So we can also flex. But the point is that the big boys, Akwa Ibom, right? Rivers, Delta, the big boys. Bayelsa, the oil is theirs. So if the people in that place want to run it in a certain way, they should run it. They don't have to share their money with me. And when I discover something in my space too, I don't have to share the money with anybody. But start now on now, everybody will say you're a tribalist. We're going to have this resource control conversation, not on TikTok. We're having it on TikTok, but also beyond TikTok as well. And what will cause it, we've already gotten into it. I think we talked about it last week. All this thing about state policing, because we're talking about resource control. Akita Oshijoade, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Sandra Hill, thank you for laughing. I know it was funny, but thank you for being here. Let's continue. So it says here, whilst the nucleus of the Igbo State Union had been founded in Calabar in 1936, that is a year before his return from his self-imposed exile in the Gold Coast, Nnamdi Azikiwe became the symbol of a truly menacing Igbo ethnomania. Irrespective of what he said or might have wished, the fact was that the party, which he led from the Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, was seen by other major ethnic groups as the political organization of the Igbo, and that it was predominantly from this major tribe in southern Nigeria that he obtained his political support. It was largely in response to the bugbear of Igbo nationalism. I'll take that again. It was largely in response to the bugbear of Igbo nationalism for the Yoruba that in 1945, Obafemi Awolowo, already an energetic member of the Western wing of the Nigerian Youth Movement, founded the Egbe Oduduwa, the so-called cultural organization which became the nucleus of the action group, predominantly the Party of the Yoruba, to the eve of independence. There's a great deal of truth in Nnamdi Azikiwe's description of action group as a political protrusion of the Egbe Oduduwa. The point I'm trying to make is this. We've talked about NCNC a million times, but was not originally an Igbo party. It wasn't created by Azikiwe. It was what you would call a coalition of a number of groups I always mention 4 of them because they're the most prominent ones. 4 groups, decided to work together and become NCNC. The party that Herbert Macaulay founded in 1923, that's the Nigerian National Democratic Party, NNDP. The Lagos Market Women Association under Ademotu Pelewura and Abibatu Mogaji, the president's mother, the late mother, God rest her soul. The Trade Union Congress, TUC, and the student movement, right? And that was not just Lagos, Abeokuta, different places. The young people in schools, in Abeokuta Grammar School, and many of them were under the Oga for NUT, Oludotun Ransom Kuti, that's Fela's father, all right? So those groups came together to form NCNC, and the first president was Herbert Macaulay. By the time Zik took over that party, in the 1940s, 46, he converted that party into an ethnic party. And the way they did it was that everything they were trying to do, they used that party to move it. Therefore, the other Nigerians, listen to this, many young educated Nigerians in the 20s, 30s, 40s were all about pan-Nigerianism, which is what Ayondele was talking about. It is the ideal that would make sense if we're trying to create something all of us are together. All of them stopped being pan-Nigerianists in that sense, and I don't know if that word exists, but you get the point. All of them stopped that because of what started happening after 1946 that Zik took over. And one of the first things you will see was a trip they made to the UK. I think about 7 or so that went to the UK. This was after Abat Macaulay was gone. You had Azikiwe, you had Fumara Ransom Kuti, and the rest of them. They traveled to the UK, returned to Nigeria. This was in 47. Returned to Nigeria, and there were some issues. Primarily based on money. And the money wasn't a lot of money, actually. It was just £13,000. Right? And the leader of the party, the leader of the team, job. Let's not continue. So we're not just talking. I want to make sure that we're able to keep this. So please, let's start up. I'm waiting for also. Let's just spend some time to do this. This. If you're on YouTube and you can hear me on YouTube, thank you for the Give Tech Fund on TikTok. If you can hear me on YouTube, please say hello. If you can't see it, that means that maybe the network is bad, then we might have to restart YouTube. But please, if you can see me on YouTube, and if it's clear,
clear and you're not experiencing buffering and stuff, just say hello. It's buffering. Why would anybody do that? They've done worse. They've done worse, but I always say we try to be balanced. But
please, whatever you hear this on TikTok, if it becomes too much for you.
Anyway,
I'm sorry, on YouTube,
I don't know what's happening, but please, whatever you hear this on TikTok, if it becomes too much for you, on YouTube, if it becomes too much and you can't, keep up, please let me know. I'll just end it and then I'll restart your own. But let's get back to the reading.